Common Spirit Health Studios. This is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Today is the first day of what's expected to be a record-breaking heat wave here in Utah. Temperatures are normally in the mid-50s this time of year, but for the next 4 days, forecasted highs are near or above 80 degrees.
We're looking at early June temperatures here in mid to late March.
That's National Weather Service meteorologist Sam Weber. The hottest temperature we've ever recorded in Salt Lake in the month of March was 80 degrees even back in 2012. This week, we're on track to break that record at least twice. Highs in St. George could reach 96 degrees by Friday. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, a solemn military ritual today at a base in Delaware. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest on President Trump's travels.
President Trump travels to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware today for the dignified transfer of remains of the 6 U.S. service members killed in the crash of a refueling aircraft in Iraq. This is the second time since the start of the war on Iran that the president has attended this solemn ritual. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt this morning described it as the hardest thing he does as commander-in-chief. 13 service members have died so far in the war. More than 200 have been wounded, and roughly 70% of them have suffered traumatic brain injuries, according to a U.S. official. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Your money at this moment, the Dow down 341 points to 46,651. Coming up, we've still got emergency traffic in Utah and Davis counties on I-15. We'll get that plus a check of weather next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Drivers who switch their home and auto with Progressive could save money and time. Other things try to do this, but they really don't. Like the touchscreen at fast food places. It's not like you save time because it takes you longer to use a touchscreen than, I don't know, someone who works there. And another thing, you'd think it would save money because they're not paying a cashier, right? But no, same price. Also, why is there an option to tip? Who am I tipping? Exactly. Anyway, even if you can't save money and time with some things, you could with a Progressive Home and Auto Bundle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Listen, parents, I've seen your search history. How to survive spring break without totally losing my mind. Take a deep breath because I'm about to make this so easy. This is Julie from the Visitors Bureau in Logan. Step 1, reserve your hotel room right now. Step 2, get to the American West Heritage Center for the original Baby Animal Days, April 1st through the 4th and 9th through the 11th. We're talking newborn lambs, sassy kids, goat kids, not your kids, and baby bears from Yellowstone Bear World. But wait, there's more. After you've held a baby chick and thrown a tomahawk like a mountain man, you'll be hungry. Head to Angie's for the kitchen sink. It's a ginormous banana split on steroids served in an actual sink. If you finish it, you get a job washing dishes. I'm kidding. Walk it off on a scenic mountain hike or head to the Cache Valley Fun Park for laser tag, roller skating, and bowling. Baby animals, epic eats, and practically zero stress. Head to Logan for spring break or anytime you need a break. Plan your vacay at ExploreLogan.com. ExploreLogan.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone's stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
Heavy delays on southbound I-15 getting through Davis County and into Salt Lake County. This is because we had a crash near the north interchange blocking multiple left lanes. It looks like they've opened up those lanes, but the delays are still there, reaching back to almost 400 north in Centerville, and again slow all the way till the north interchange. In Utah County, we did have a crash on I-15, well, multiple crashes on both directions, but now those delays really starting to break up and ease out. It's heaviest around 800 north. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we could be seeing record highs. Today will be almost 80 degrees. Same tomorrow and Friday. Right now, though, 52 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
The heat is on. Yeah. The heat is on.
I don't know about you, Holly, but it is March 18th, and it is supposed to get very warm this week. It's already warmer than it should be. The ski resorts are struggling a little bit. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we may very well be in record heat territory.
I think we expect that. So we have with us KSL News Radio, Adam Small. Adam, tell us about the weather.
Yeah, this is, I've never seen anything like this in the month of March, and I've lived in 4 different states, and I think this is true of anywhere I've lived. So just going over the forecast in Salt Lake City, so let's set up some context here. Typical temperatures we're seeing this time of year are around 56, 57 degrees, depending on what day of the month you look at. And March is also historically our snowiest month.
Right.
We are looking at a high of 79 today, bone dry. Same story tomorrow with a high of 80. 82 on Friday, 81 on Saturday. The hottest temperature we've ever recorded in Salt Lake in the month of March is 80 degrees flat. So based on just that forecast, we're already looking at 2 different days we're going to break the all-time record. It's just, what is going on?
And Matt Johnson told us, I think last week, that the record March temperature was like the 31st. It was right at the end.
Like that.
We still have 2 weeks left in March.
Wow. So what does it look like past this weekend? Are we still in record high territory?
Not come towards the end of the weekend, at least. So by Sunday, we're dropping back down into the low 70s. It looks like maybe there's a slight chance of seeing some precipitation move into the area. But past that, I mean, you're kind of looking at best educated guess. But, I mean, you're looking at still low to mid-70s.
Which is still quite a bit higher.
It
20
is.
degrees higher than the average.
Yeah, again, you're still, even at that point, you're almost 20 degrees above normal.
Wow.
Man, like I'm used to just 3 years ago was it that we had like that best snowpack we ever had. It was snowing all the way into late April, and now it's like, we got California weather this week. It's like, okay.
So what have we seen in St. George? Are they already hitting 90s?
Oh goodness, yeah, they're going to today. Today their high is 92, but tomorrow and Friday, I can't believe I'm even saying this, 96. The high in St. George. I mean, they dropped down into the low 90s, upper 80s by Sunday going into next week. But, man, that's straight. That's summer heat.
Yeah.
Get your golf clubs out, right? I mean, put the skis away and get the golf clubs out.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I can only imagine how brutal this has been on resorts, and I know you guys are going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But, man, this has been the winter of people who don't like winter.
Mm-hmm.
I have no other way to put it. I mean, I was telling Holly, I mean, not tooting my own horn, tomorrow's my birthday, but I'm saying, like, I've lived in 4 different states, and tomorrow might be the warmest birthday I've ever had. I'm used to snow, rain, wet, cold weather. And
exactly.
I'm like, it's going to be sunny and clear. I'm like, I don't even know what to do in this atmosphere. So,
well, happy birthday to you tomorrow, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. That was KSL News Radio's Adam Small. And I think I told you this before, Holly, but if not, before we get to Ski Utah, I live near a reservoir, Pineview Reservoir. It's the first time ever that anyone can recall, certainly in the 20 years I've been there, that it hasn't frozen over. They always ice fish on it. Every year ice fish.
Hasn't even frozen over.
They didn't ice fish this year.
Wow.
They couldn't do it.
Wow. Well, you mentioned the ski resorts, and I think it's a huge issue in a lot of ways. But we have with us Allison Parmentier with Ski Utah. Allison, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
What has been happening on the mountains?
You know, we are obviously hearing about these warmer temperatures, but just from a personal anecdote, I was up at Park City Mountain yesterday, and the skiing is still great. I think people forget sometimes that, you know, it's warm in the valley, and of course this is like highly unusually warm for this time of year, but it's 10 plus degrees colder up in the mountains. And the skiing was great. You know, it's our typical Utah spring skiing, and it's super fun. The groomers are skiing great, and while we might not have as much off-piste terrain open as we usually do this time of year, the groomers are skiing great, and it's definitely great for beginners too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Allison. I skied this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, up at Powder Mountain, and of course it was colder than it is now. But as it warmed, in the mornings the snow was cold, but it was groomed, so it was fine, firm. But in the afternoons, when it gets loosened up a little bit of corn, it was really beautiful skiing. It is spring skiing in the way that Utah's somewhat famous for, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's just a great day to go out and have fun with your friends and sit in the sunshine, have lunch in the sun, have a little beverage. It's that typical spring skiing. So while resorts are, of course, you know, seeing those higher temperatures than we would have liked, they are experts at what they do. They know how to keep their snowpack alive. They know how to move their snowpack around to make sure that, you know, they're covering as many areas as they can and keeping as many areas open as they can.
So, Allison, does this in any way indicate whether the skiing season will be shortened?
You know, we have had a couple of resorts closed, but I don't suspect we're going to see that in mass. So I suspect that Utah will be open for skiing until many of those announced closing dates. And, you know, we're excited to keep skiing. There's over 120 plus lifts open in Utah right now. You know, it's a great time to ski. It's a great time, like I said, for beginners to learn. So no, I don't expect that.
Yeah, and I think you said it right a minute ago, Allison, and that is that if resorts probably won't close, but they may close some runs or maybe even some lifts so that they can shift snow from one place to another so that they can keep as much open as possible. I think that's what's happening in some of the resorts, that they just may shut down some of the areas where it's a little bit thin, but then you've got snow from those areas that you can move and shovel into the greater areas. So yeah, we should continue to have skiing into April, don't you think?
I would expect so. You know, there's nothing to indicate otherwise. And, you know, we won't know until, you know, after this heat wave passes. But skiutah.com is a great resource for anybody looking to see what's open, what may have already closed. You know, it's mostly just those resorts that are at quite low elevation. But most of our resorts here in Utah are at much higher elevation and are able to keep the snow quite well. You know, we think of like Brian Head Resort down south, which has the highest base elevation in Utah, and the skiing there is great.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for letting us know that. That was Allison Parmentier with Ski Utah. And we're going to check in with Ton Bettis, who is co-host of KSL's gardening show, later in our show to ask about the impacts on growing. So I have concerns about trees, right? If they think it's spring, they're going to bud out. They may lose their fruit if we end up with a normal freeze, right? That happens often in March and April. So we're going to talk about that at 11:05. So stay with us for that. When we come back, we're also going to talk about caucus meetings last night. So did you go?
Which you attended. I
did. Utah Democrats say they had record high turnout last night. The GOP turnout, I thought, was a lot more muted. So text us about your caucus experiences at 57500. We're going to talk about it next.
This heat's nice, but the real heat, it's coming. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and now is a great time to schedule a preseason AC tune-up. And I'm about to save you some money. Normally, we charge $129 to tune up your air conditioner. But if you call today, Wednesday, March 18th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $100 off and tune up your air conditioner for only $29. Call Any Hour Services today and schedule 801-443-7400. Manufacturers recommend annual maintenance to save on utility bills, identify breakdowns before they happen, and to help your air conditioner last for as many years as possible. 801-443-7400. If it's more convenient, go to anyhourservices.com and look for the red button that says Book Online. Schedule your $29 tune-up there. That's a $129 value for only $29 if you get a hold of us today. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Imagine a world where you can leave the house and take your home Wi-Fi speeds with you. Thanks to Xfinity Mobile, it's not just a fantasy. Just picture it. You're at your kid's soccer practice streaming the other game in 4K. Just like that. In the airport, download a cozy family comedy in a snap with Wi-Fi Power Boost. What if the places you had to be felt more like everywhere you wanted to be? That's the magic of Xfinity Mobile. Reliable Wi-Fi and 5G when you need it. Xfinity. Imagine that. Cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines of unlimited. Visit XfinityMobile.com to learn more. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Savings based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus regular rates for 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience, More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of 2/10/26. Taxes, fees, extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
That is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at the spot price. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth over $150,000. Smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. That's why I buy gold from Birch Gold Group. It's a crucial part of my balanced strategy. Gives me peace of mind given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you too. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Now that's peace of mind. Text Dan to 989898. Again, text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 today. Message and data rates apply.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Okay, caucuses took place last night. I was entertaining. I felt badly because I really wanted to go. You went.
I did.
The Utah Democrats are reporting that they had a record turnout. I don't know how they got those numbers so quickly, but they said apparently about 5,000 Utahns registered, maybe pre-registered for caucus night, which for Democrats was a big showing, their strongest showing since 2016.
Well, I think we know why.
Yeah. Surge in participation driven by county parties across the state. A lot of excitement. And also, the Democrats actually have a race, the CD1 condition.
Right, that's why.
Yeah, where there could be some fireworks. So they have something to come out for. And we talked yesterday, I think it was Brian King, the Democratic Party chair, about the fact that so many Democratic positions were filled, that they had done a very good job of getting candidates
in races
a lot
up and
of
down
races.
the state.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's right.
Including 2 Democrats for every congressional district.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So there'll be a Democratic primary in all of those. Look, we want to know what your experience was if you went to caucus last night or if you chose not to. Text us 57500. I did go. And, I've been a regular caucus attendee for about 24 years. But 2 years ago, I could not attend because I was in ICU. So I could still vote, though, because that was the presidential preferential poll. And so I had a neighbor pick up my ballot for me from the hospital room and take it to caucus night so that I could vote in the presidential preferential poll.
I couldn't go 2 years ago, but somehow I was able to get I was able to be appointed as a delegate after the fact
because nobody was there.
A position that didn't fill, so Weber County helped me out with
I'll just say this, and I don't have a broad view across the state, and so maybe our next guest does, but I saw a lot smaller turnout, and it was very mild. Our area, our precinct we had 33 people show up, which is about 1/10 what it was 2 years ago.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. It was everybody was put in by acclamation, which means there weren't even enough to have a vote.
Right.
We just said, yeah, if you want to do it, you can do it. And I've heard stories like that across the state from Republican caucus attendees. So we did reach out to the Utah GOP chair to see if we could get insight on their registration numbers. But somebody else who also went to a GOP caucus is Taylor Morgan, a partner of Morgan May Affairs and executive director of Count My Vote. Thanks for joining us this morning. Taylor, how are you?
Holly, I'm great. Holly, Greg, great to be with you. I'll tell you what, last night at caucus meeting here in Draper, Utah, was probably the smallest turnout I have ever seen at caucus in my about 16 years of attending caucuses.
Mm-hmm. And what do you attribute that to, Taylor?
Well, it's really hard to know this year. I think, look, one of the reasons caucus meetings are poorly attended in general these days is simply because of this rigid time constraint, the requirement to physically attend in person at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Now, technically, the party has made some efforts to allow folks to participate by absentee ballot and these things, but that process is incredibly confusing. It's difficult to navigate with the ID and the forms and all that kind of stuff. It just does not really function in reality. And so folks are left with no other option but to try to show up in person once every 2 years at their local high school or elementary school. And, Holly, Greg, that's just not how anyone engages in politics in the year 2026. Caucus meeting sounds wonderful in theory. And in theory, it sounds like this process would be an excellent way to potentially send delegates to vet candidates. But because so few voters attend their caucus meetings, the process just completely falls apart.
Yeah, it's interesting because yesterday we had Rob Axon on the show, and he's chair of the Utah Republican Party. And I asked him, because some of these caucus meetings have gone on for so many hours, I said, how long do you anticipate the average caucus will go? And he said, I think you'll be done between 8 and 8:15. And I was walking out the door at 8:18. I was super impressed, actually.
Was yours pretty short, Taylor?
Okay, let's see. I showed up a little bit early to try to help and volunteer, but because no one was there at Corner Canyon High School, there was no line to check in at all. They did not need additional volunteers, and so I was able to go right to my classroom. And there were only 5 of us in my caucus meeting. We have about 470 active registered Republicans in my precinct. So you can do the math there. With only 5 of us showing up at our precinct caucus meeting last night, we're talking less than 1% attendance in our precinct. So we all showed up, got to know each other a little bit. We started our meeting just about 7:05. We did the prayer and the pledge and went through the party platform. We filled all of our spots by acclamation. Essentially, everybody who was there got whatever role they wanted. There wasn't any kind of an election necessary. We were done with official business in our caucus by about 7:24 p.m. Wow. And we hung around. We chatted for a little bit and then wrapped up, and I went home to watch some baseball.
Wow. So we asked for texts on this, 57500, and we have a couple. So one said only 5 people went to their caucus meeting. Another one said only 1 did. And then there's this question, Taylor, and I know that you can answer this. So this one says, I'm an unaffiliated voter. So does that mean Utah's caucus system makes my vote or my political opinions meaningless?
No, it doesn't. And actually, Holly, this is a great question for the Utah Democratic Party. I don't know the answer to this question, but because the Utah Democratic Party is holding an open primary in 2026, do they also allow unaffiliated, third party, or even Republican registered voters to participate in their caucus meeting and become delegates? I'd love to hear if we had any non-Democratic affiliated voters participate and get elected to positions at Democratic caucuses last night. I don't know the answer to that. I'm fascinated by that question.
I don't know the answer to the second part of your question, which is, did they get elected? But I do know that yesterday we also talked with Brian King, the chair of the Democratic Party in Utah, and he said everybody was welcome, whether they were Republican or Democrat or unaffiliated or part of a third party, that the caucus night was open to anybody.
Yeah. I think directly answering your listener's question, it really depends on where they live. It's my personal opinion, this is just me, that whether you like it or not, we live in a two-party system. And in my eyes, that means pick a party, make it what you want it to be, make it better. I don't think we gain anything by losing people to third parties or having people be unaffiliated. I think I would encourage everyone out there, all Utah voters, pick one of the 2 major parties, even though they're both kind of terrible in a lot of ways, let's be honest. Pick a party and have an impact. Make it what you want it to be, because we just live in a two-party system, and that is reality. That is the best way to have an impact.
So, Taylor, speaking of the Democrats, they are claiming that they had record turnout, or at least near record turnout last night. And I'm wondering if you could opine about the reason for that. Was it because of the CD1, the fact that that's now a competitive race? Midterms are always a little bit bad for the party in the presidency, and the administration, war in Iran, economy and other things have maybe soured some independents, or maybe all of the above.
Greg, you hit the nail on the head with all of those points, really. Utah Democrats right now, I believe, have a very special opportunity to build and to grow the party here. They have everything going for them right now in this midterm election. And adding into that, we have the first truly exciting, truly competitive Democratic primary for Congress in Utah, I think, really ever, at least in my lifetime. And the Utah Democratic Party has seen a resurgence in interest, in activity, all of this surrounding the Prop 4 litigation, and all the drama has made things very, very interesting for Utah Democrats. Ultimately, politics is really just reality TV for us nerds, right?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
There's a lot of drama and excitement right now, and so I am really hopeful for Utah Democrats that they can harness this in a way that will really build their party and make it more competitive here in Utah.
There you go. Thanks, Taylor. That was Taylor Morgan, partner at Morgan May Affairs. He is optimistic for Democrats. I think that we always blow it as Democrats, even when we have a chance, but we'll see how they do. When we come back, the Department of Justice is demanding personal information about all of Utah's registered voters by way of a lawsuit. The lieutenant governor is now asking the court to dismiss that lawsuit, arguing that the United States and the Utah state constitution actually give the states the right to control their own elections, not the federal government. We'll come back with that after this.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour is from ABC News. A A solemn military ritual today at a base in Delaware. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest on President Trump's travels.
President Trump travels to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware today for the dignified transfer of remains of the 6 U.S. service members killed in the crash of a refueling aircraft in Iraq. This is the second time since the start of the war on Iran that the president has attended this solemn ritual. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt this morning described it as the hardest thing he does as commander-in-chief. 13 service members have died so far in the war. More than 200 have been wounded, and roughly 70% of them have suffered traumatic brain injuries, according to a U.S. official. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Other national stories KSL is following. Cuba's power is back on after a 29-hour blackout. The island went dark, blaming the power grid failure on a U.S. energy blockade that started back in January after President Trump threatened tariffs on any country that sells or provides oil to Cuba. 11 million people were without power. Here in Utah, a man who police say drove 2 girls across the state in the back of a refrigerated semi-truck trailer is pleading guilty to 2 counts of aggravated child abuse. Jacob Ortel Scott says the 2 girls were his sisters, and they were in the trailer for over 4 hours. Police say the thermostat was set at 30 degrees. The girls told police it wasn't the first time they moved around the state like that. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 418 points this morning to down to 46,574. Coming up, we've got the record warm temperatures that start today. We'll check weather and traffic coming up next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
It was opening night at Hale Center Theater for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo's classic tale. I was with my son, Ian, and it was nothing short of spectacular. The staging, the costuming, the music, it's simply breathtaking. And, of course, the actors and the voices. You have to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's on the main stage right now at Hale Center Theater. So many of the scenes are never to be forgotten. For example, when Frollo is just struggling with his passion for Esmeralda and his soul, the flames and the tension on the stage is unbelievable. And to see the Hunchback up in the tower with the bells, don't miss Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's underway right now at Hale Center Theater. And continuing, Peter Pan Goes Wrong. That's on the Jewel Box stage and Hallmarked on the Beehive stage. Get your tickets now. hct.org. Don't miss the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
On top of home and auto, Progressive protects your boat, RV, and motorcycle so you can explore the unknown.
Actually, we just take the RV to the same campground every year.
Well, maybe you can catch your own dinner on your boat.
Oh, we can actually get pizza delivered there from this brick oven place we love.
Will you at least try a new topping?
Honestly, probably not. We kind of have a go-to order.
Fine. Just bundle home or auto insurance with your outdoor vehicles with Progressive and stay protected when you go, I guess, where you've gone before. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Let's go to the traffic center. Cormac Bone, what do you got?
Well, we do have a crash on northbound I-15 in Davis County. This is blocking the left shoulder at Antelope Drive in Layton. We don't see any delays behind them. Where we do have delays, they're residual after crashes from this morning. Southbound I-15 from Woods Cross pretty much all the way down to the I-80 interchange. That was due to a crash that we had earlier near the north interchange. And northbound I-15 in Utah County, slow from about 800 north almost to Pleasant Grove Boulevard. Again, residual delays behind a crash that are no longer on the road. With nutrients blended for greener, healthier turf in our local soil, IFA's 4+ Lawn Care program is the ultimate lawn owner power move. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast, we could be seeing record highs. Today will be almost 80 degrees. The same tomorrow and Friday. If we go 80 or above, we will tie or break the all-time record here in Utah. Right now it's 57 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about a Department of Justice demand that personal information for all of Utah's voters be turned over to them. Now, Utah's Lieutenant Governor is asking the courts to dismiss that lawsuit, arguing that the U.S. Constitution gives the states the right to control their elections. She's argued that and asked a federal judge to dismiss the lawsuit by the Department of Justice seeking access to private records for Utah voters.
One of the things that's interesting to me about this is the Department of Justice has demanded not only the publicly available voter rolls from states, but all identifying information. That includes Social Security numbers, driver's license numbers. I mean, talk about something ripe for identity theft. However, so they have the Department of Justice, some states have turned that information over. Some states have resisted. And Utah's one of those. And the DOJ then sued Utah and 4 other states last month for their voter rolls. But again, one of the things that's interesting, and here in this request to dismiss the lawsuit, is the lieutenant governor says that federal law does not require states to turn over sensitive private information of their voters, and that the department hadn't stated a valid reason for demanding the information. So you're the attorney, but one of the things that the federal guys did is say, well, refusal to turn this over violates the Civil Rights Act of 1960. I mean, to me, that's a little bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah, I know, and because that kind of turns that on its head a little bit. You wonder, how that argument is made in light of where we were back then and what we were trying to do back then in terms of getting voter information. There's also that whole Constitution thing.
I know that weird Constitution.
It just gets in the way of things. But I'm looking at the Constitution, Article 1, Section 4. Time, place, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. I mean, that's it. That's what it says.
I know.
That was actually part of the argument for the Prop 4 thing, saying, hey, the legislature does this, not the citizens by ballot initiative. And now the feds are coming in saying, give us your voter rolls, and we want some information. And they're upset that Utah didn't comply with their request for those earlier. Like you said, Lieutenant Governor Henderson said the state law prohibits her from sharing this private information, and that the Department of Justice, which is seeking this information, declined offers to share publicly available voter lists. She offered to settle this and said, hey, we'll give you what's publicly available. They said, no, we want this private information for voter rolls.
Right. And first of all, I personally think that's hugely problematic to have one giant database. I mean, if you're going to hack into something and you're a bad guy, would you rather hack into one giant database or 3,000 databases of voter rolls across the country?
Every county in the
right,
country,
exactly.
Right.
So one of the things that the federal government is asserting is that the Civil Rights Act requires, quote, any record or paper required to be retained by election officers be made available for inspection, reproduction, and copying at the principal office of such custodian by the Attorney General. What's interesting is by statute, we only maintain those rolls typically unless there's some kind of court hold on them for 20 months and then they're destroyed. But in any case,
which seems reasonable.
Right. Those are election records, voting records, not your voter ID stuff. But when the lieutenant governor and the state attorneys who are pushing back, they say that the Department of Justice mistakenly reads this statute to confer a, quote, sweeping power to obtain state voting records, requiring states to ignore their own voter privacy laws in the process.
Yeah, I mean, and like you say, getting the central database for voter records from people throughout the country, given the amount of hacking, the amount of we talk about voting integrity, this is something that could have the adverse effect and give people information and the ability to look at things that they shouldn't be able to get access to.
Right. So there was a lawsuit in the, I think they ruled on it in February maybe, and this was California saying, no, we're not going to do that, and we're going to sue to prevent us from giving you voter rolls. The courts ruled in favor of California saying, no, you don't have to turn over those voter rolls. So I want to share also some of the things that the lieutenant governor was saying last night on social media. And it has to do with voter privacy, but it also has to do with a bill that we've talked about, and that is the Save America Act that is being filibustered on the floor right now. So there's a talking filibuster that's going on because they want to be able to pass this. They know they don't have the 60 votes. It's questionable whether they have 51 votes. But here's one of the issues that the lieutenant governor brings up. So Utah is a vote-by-mail state. Article 4, Section 8 of the Utah Constitution guarantees the right to a secret ballot for federal and state elections. That makes sense. Sure. The Save America Act requires a photocopy of a voter's ID to be included in the return envelope of a by-mail ballot, violating our constitutional right to a secret ballot. So Utah uses signature verification, and soon, like in the next election cycle, the last 4 digits of your social security number or your driver's license number with the signature to verify the ID in a way that preserves ballot secrecy. So the Save America Act would preempt our own Constitution.
Yeah, so we're talking about, let's be clear, and maybe I'm not clear, 2 different things. The lawsuit brought by the Department of Justice
2 different
to get
things.
access to voter rolls here in Utah, and the Save America Act, which provides requires, I guess, more information, more what would normally be publicly withheld information for voters to be able to participate.
Yeah, so there's additional information, and this is more on the SAVE Act, but county clerks can and do verify citizenship through their when you register to vote.
Right.
Also, when you get the real ID, right, with the driver's license, you have to show your birth certificate. Did you know, though, that our real ID that's good enough for TSA is not good enough for the Save America Act? There are only 5 states that have required a notice of citizenship right on the driver's license. And those 5 states actually border Canada, and you can use those licenses to cross over instead of a passport. But Utah is not one of those states. And so I see on social media, somebody said, well, why didn't Utah opt in for this enhanced real ID? Again, there was no requirement to do this. What we had to do is get the real ID, make sure we were citizens, but it doesn't have that extra designation. Only 5 states have that.
I wonder if Utah would change and do that, because I thought the real ID was a real big deal. I mean, it really took it to it. I mean, because I think some airports, maybe all now, require that.
Yeah, and they can even fine you if you don't have it. But the point that the lieutenant governor is making, and that I understand, is that there are only 5 states who add the citizenship notice on the driver's ID, and those are Washington, Minnesota, Michigan, New York, and Vermont. So not 45 states don't require that. So another thing that the lieutenant governor said on the Save America Act is if this is all about needing to have incredible security to make sure people are citizens, we already know that there's very few proven cases nationwide, none in Utah, but nationwide, of people here illegally voting in elections. But one of the things is to say, give the states enough ramp up time that they can get these ID requirements in place, that people can know, right, that they have to get a passport or they have to get this new ID. Don't change the rules midstream. That makes it incredibly difficult. And as a lot of people are saying, this puts this is a way to suppress voters.
The Save America Act, and I know we're running close on time, was something that I think a lot of members of Congress weren't too crazy about, but President Trump is now re-emphasized that. He's made that a bigger push than maybe some people thought, thinking he may be deterred by the war in Iran or other things. But now that's something that we're dealing with on a federal level that we hadn't before.
Well, and one additional note is now that bill has been expanded to include not having men participate in women's sports and prohibiting transgender surgeries, which already, like, the bill is already big and weighty and controversial, and now they're adding additional things that don't have anything to do with elections.
Seems to be the standard course lately with some of our bills.
Yeah. Okay, so I was surprised and happy to see breaking news this morning that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is instructing their local units that they can call a man or a woman to serve as a local congregation Sunday school president. To me, that's a really big change, and it's very exciting. And we're going to have Sarah Weaver join us next to talk about what this means. Stay with us.
I know it's Wednesday, but give me 60 seconds and I'll explain how spending $29 guarantees your air conditioner won't break down this summer, or we'll give you your money back. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and when you have Any Hour do the annual maintenance for your air conditioner, it comes with our no breakdown guarantee. 801-443-7400. Normally, we charge $129 to tune up your air conditioner, but not today. If you call today, Wednesday, March 18th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $100 off and tune up your air conditioner for only $29. 801-443-7400. If your AC breaks down any time this summer after we've tuned it up, we'll dispatch a technician to your home to diagnose and troubleshoot your system for free, and we'll give you back the $29 you paid for the tune-up. Where else are you going to find an offer with this little risk? You literally get your money back if your air conditioner breaks down. Call Any Hour Services and schedule your $29 air conditioner tune-up. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio, or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
This weekly tax tip is brought to you by the Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants. Here's CEO Susan Spears.
One fast-growing tax scam right now involves identity theft, when criminals file fake tax returns or access benefits using your information. That's where ID.me comes in. ID.me helps protect taxpayers like you by making sure the person using the IRS's online services is actually you. It uses identity verification, like your ID and a selfie, to stop fraudsters from accessing your tax information or government benefits in your name. Once your identity is verified, you can safely access IRS tools, review your tax information, and it can also help someone else from filing a phony tax return under your name.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a licensed CPA. Visit uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. And check out new tax tip videos by following on social media at Talk to Your CPA.
Grand Staircase Escalante is under attack. Utah politicians are hastily racing to dismantle protections for this special place, one of America's most treasured national monuments and an important part of southern Utah's economy. An overwhelming majority of Utahns support protecting the Grand Staircase for future generations. Yet our voices are being ignored by those meant to represent us. Now's the moment to speak up. Learn more about this attack and what could permanently be lost at suwa.org. Paid for by Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance.
It's time to upgrade your arsenal with the Shields Field and Range Sale Event. Save on your favorite brands in ammo, firearms, optics, and more. You'll have to hurry, though. This sale only runs through March 22nd. Plus, with your Shields Visa, you'll earn an extra 10 points for every $1 spent on Vortex products at Shields, which means you'll earn even more My Rewards gift cards. Visit Shields or shields.com and save now through March 22nd.
Jackson Hewitt will do your taxes for $149 or less, no matter how complicated. So if you're a delivery driver, /handyman, /wedding DJ, you pay only $149 or less. We're talking to you, waitress.
Check, please.
/pet sitter, /influencer. Just $149 or less. Want your refund to work as hard as you? Hurry. Don't wait. File with Jackson Hewitt today. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
This is Dylan Gunther of the Utah Mammoth. Scoring goals is what I do. Driving a BMW from BMW of Utah, that's how I roll. Proud to be a Utahn, drive elevated.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
Well, we had some news break this morning, Holly, that I think surprised a lot of people, and even some sort of questioned the legitimacy of it. That is that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is now allowing either a man or a woman to serve as the Word Sunday School president.
And I actually really love that. And I was able to talk about that on the morning news at 8:15. It was just right after the news broke, and just said, look, sometimes within our church culture, and I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, sometimes within our culture, we think things are doctrine straight from heaven, and sometimes they're policy, and they can change. So we have with us Sarah Weaver, editor of the Deseret News and former editor of the Church News. I will note that in this case. Tell us about this change and what that means.
Well, I think this is a dynamic period of gospel learning for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It hasn't been too many years ago since church leaders asked members to take a increased role in studying the scriptures in their homes, and they began what's called the Come Follow Me curriculum. And this follows that, where now they're saying either a man or a woman can serve as the Sunday school president at a ward level. Mm-hmm. So they're not saying men and women would serve together in presidencies. The presidency could be made up of all men or all women. And the role of a Sunday school presidency at a ward level is to train teachers mm-hmm. to teach people about the scriptures and the gospel of Jesus Christ.
So I just have to say this. I was just released, which is from a volunteer position of teaching adults, and it was once a month, but teaching Sunday school. And I am now teaching 12-year-olds the same kind of thing. Adults are a little more fun, I have to say. It was my favorite calling I've ever had. And so for me, it's like, oh my gosh, this is just super exciting to see maybe this. It feels like really monumental, but as you just indicated, part of maybe a move to really elevate the voices of women within the church.
Yeah, and it's actually part of a whole bunch of handbook changes. So in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, there's an administrative handbook that teaches local leaders how to administer to the needs of their congregations. And every so often, the handbook is updated to answer new questions or meet new needs. And so this is part of just a regular update. But it does indicate something that I think is very exciting. So you have this coming at a time when members of the Church of Jesus Christ are asked to study the scriptures at an increased level. And then they're saying, we think that both men and women should be able to teach and train and emphasize these things in the ward. The other thing that it does is every ward is governed by a ward council. That is where both men and women leaders gather together and they discuss the needs of the ward and the needs of the members. And so this could, depending on if it's a man or a woman called to this position, add one more woman to that council setting, which I think is always important because women have important insights and good voices.
You mentioned during the break before we started, Sarah, that this is part of maybe a pattern by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to increase opportunities for women to do what they're already doing in large respect, which is teaching and training. Is that really part of this overall change, maybe, policy?
Well, you know, at my house, I have 3 daughters. So this became very personal for us in 2012 when the church lowered the missionary age for young women. At the time, you had to be 21, and they lowered it to 19. That age was just lowered again last year from 19 to 18. So they're saying,
putting
okay,
it the same as men.
Yes. So now both men and women can serve full-time missions, which again is teaching and training and talking about the scriptures and exhorting those scriptures. And so they can do that at the same time. Women have been given increased opportunities, including in general conference, to offer prayers. And you've seen missionary opportunities increase. There is now a position for women called sister training leaders, in which they have women have leadership opportunities in missions to teach and train and teach others the best methods to do that.
Are those training ones? Are those largely outside of the United States?
The
ones that you were just mentioning, these sisters training
these sister
in missions.
Training leaders are part of every single mission in the church, where you have males, they have zone leaders, and then you have sister training leaders, and they work together for the good of administering the mission and the work of helping other people learn about the gospel of Jesus Christ. But even at a general level, we've seen this. In 2015, women were added to executive councils of the Church of Jesus Christ. And again, so the councils that govern missionary work and temple work and welfare and humanitarian work have a woman or two sitting in council with men, and their voices are increasingly needed and appreciated.
Sarah, so I guess the lawyer in me is asking, how are changes like this implemented? I mean, is like, for example, could a bishopric this weekend decide, hey, we're going to reinstall we're going to change our Sunday school presidency and announce a new group of Sunday school presidency? Right. I mean, is it in place, or how does that work?
So today's changes came in the form of this handbook update, but they also were accompanied by a letter from the first presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So these changes were approved at the highest level. This letter went out, and it simply stated that a bishop who gets to determine in council with others who serves in certain positions in the administration of local church units. And so, yes, this Sunday, a bishop could say, hey, I think we are going to change our Sunday school presidency, and now an opportunity would be for him to consider all men and women in the ward instead of just faithful, worthy men.
We have a texter, and I have to read this because it's really fun. And she says, I'm a woman, and I was the Sunday school secretary for a year and a half in an otherwise all-male presidency until they had to release me when they found out that wasn't allowed. But she says that was about 15 years ago and the best calling she ever had. So maybe she'll have another opportunity.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are excited about being in Sunday school. There's a lot of people who find great comfort and enthusiasm for the scriptures. They love talking about it. They love the opportunity to teach. And now there is an opportunity for people who love the scriptures, for women who want to talk and share about the scriptures, to be involved in the sharing of the scriptures at an even greater level in their local units.
It hasn't taken President Dallin H. Oaks very long, Sarah, to start having some changes and start having a few. We talked, what was it, just last week we talked about the Easter celebration and sort of how that's being looked at now. This seems significant to me, but I mean it seems like we really have an innovative presidency right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. You hear a lot of people say, oh, your church is led by a 93-year-old, and yet every time we have a new leader come, they are praying, they're seeking inspiration for the Lord on the direction the church should take, and it's constantly changing, it's constantly moving forward, it's constantly meeting the needs of a global congregation, and I think it's amazing that President Oaks said, hey, I think there's an opportunity here for women in the church.
I think it's great also. So thank you for joining us. That's Sarah Weaver, editor of the Deseret News.
Holly was very excited about
I was very excited.
Sarah, so thanks for sharing that with us today. And people were texting us going, I'll believe it when I hear it. So you've now heard it from Sarah Weaver.
The official source.
Which is the official source today. Well, when we come back, home buyers are discovering that home ownership is back in order. What was this saying here? It's where you buy a home and then rent a room. Oh, I see.
Yeah, we're sharing,
talking about buying a home and renting part of it
That's
out.
right.
More people are doing that. More
That's
people
right.
are considering
It's
that.
a hack.
We'll talk about the wisdom in that when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Today's the first day of what's expected to be a record-breaking heat wave here in Utah. Temperatures are normally in the mid-50s this time of year, but for the next 4 days, forecasted highs are at or near or above 80 degrees.
We're looking at early June temperatures here in mid to late March.
That's National Weather Service meteorologist Sam Weber. The hottest temperature we've ever recorded in Salt Lake in the month of March was 80 degrees even back in 2012. This week, we're on track to break that record at least twice. Highs in St. George could reach 96 degrees by Friday. Police in American Fork are looking for a black pickup truck involved in a hit and run. It happened in the Cedar Hills Walmart parking lot. Anyone with information is encouraged to reach out to police. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump butting heads with some leaders of NATO countries as the Strait of Hormuz remains mostly closed. ABC's Patrick Reevell is in Qatar with the latest.
U.S. allies in Europe are refusing President Trump's request for military help reopening the strait, saying this is not their war.
I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake.
Trump now insisting the U.S. doesn't need Europe's help.
Well, we don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually.
The U.S. is taking new action, dropping bunker buster bombs on the underground Iranian missile sites along the strait. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 420 points today to 46,573. Coming up, we talked about the weather. It is a record heat wave that starts today. KSL weather forecast next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-551-7672.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-551-7672. That's 800-551-7672.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother. A necklace tucked away in a drawer. Pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story, while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings, to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design. Every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Let's get an update from Cormac Bone.
Delays are really easing all across the Wasatch Front. Maybe a little bit of northbound I-15 slowdown still left over at the south interchange. But we do have a crash on southbound I-15 just after 106 South. They're blocking the right shoulder. Doesn't look like there's some delays behind them. And then getting off the freeway a little bit south of that at 114th South, we do have a crash on 114th South at the intersection there at Lone Peak Parkway, causing some heavier delays trying to get on or off the freeway. Spring has blossomed in Box Elder County. History, recreation, wildlife, and excellent dining and shopping await you. Learn more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Produced in cooperation with the Utah Office of Tourism. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast, we should hit a 79 today, which would be a record high for the day. Then we keep setting records for the entire month of March. If we hit 80 or higher on Thursday, and we're supposed to go even higher than that Friday and Saturday. Right now it's 61 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So here's a solution to people who are trying to buy a home and may feel like they're priced out of the market. It's called house hacking, H-A-C-K-I-N-G. And it's basically purchasing a home and renting out part of it to make it easier to make the mortgage payment. More and more people are doing this, and it's something, I guess, that makes perfect sense, but we don't talk about it very much.
It does make sense to me, and it was interesting to see that there's like news coverage around it, but it's also a little bit uncomfortable. So I have a daughter. She's living at home right now with us. I have to figure out the house hacking part because they don't pay any rent.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So I'm like losing out here.
For your own kids, right?
Okay, but anyway, she wants to save money and buy a townhome, but she wants to be alone. She doesn't want to share with anybody. I think that might be part of the problem. So look, if we have our listeners, if you've ever considered renting out a portion of your home or buying like a multiplex or something to rent to make home ownership possible, let us know. 57500.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense, and I would think that if you're thinking, okay, I've got a $3,000 mortgage I got to pay every month, can I get half of that in the form of rent or even a third of that? It's going to make a huge difference for people. Of course, you have to have a guest in your house that maybe you're not crazy about, but
it depends,
basement,
right? If you have a
basement
basement apartment, outside entrance, etc. Yeah. So we have Russell Fawcett on the line with us of the Stern Team of Almada Real Estate. And Russell, are you seeing people take advantage of this house hacking? Maybe.
I think where we're seeing it is kind of the situation you described. Is we are seeing, people living with their parents and then starting to charge some of the rent. I do think there more and more with the unaffordability of housing that people are going to start looking for creative ways of being able to buy a home, and house hacking definitely is a way. And there definitely are pluses and minuses with doing it.
Russell, would it make a difference for a home purchaser in terms of financing if they put on their financing statement that they were going to rent part of the house? Because it would certainly make a difference in what their income would be, wouldn't it?
Right. And so that's where, first, I'm not a lender, so there's my disclaimer. But that's where if it's not actually, meant to be an apartment, so it's not a fourplex or a duplex, and you're just going to buy a home and you're going to rent out rooms. So in that case, you actually wouldn't be able to use the rental income to qualify for your mortgage. Oh. But if it's a duplex or a fourplex, then you can use up to 75% of what the rents would be to qualify. So they don't give you a one-to-one because they take into account vacancies and things like that. So they'll give you up to 75%. But again, it has to be, intended that there's multiple units there. So if you're young, single, just looking to rent out every single bedroom to 3 or 4 people, like you're still going to have to qualify for the house without that rental income.
Well, you clarified something that I didn't know, right? And is that if you do it the other way where you've got like separate units, then it actually impacts what you need to show for income. Actually, that was super interesting. I didn't know that. We do have a texter who said that they rented their basement out for years, and as a bachelor, they rented out 4 rooms. So I talked with a friend the other day, and she said she and her husband are raising their 4 children. They live in their parents' basement right here in Harriman, I think, outside entrance, all of those kinds of things, right? But is there, we've talked about multi-generational living. Is this just a different form of that, or is this totally different?
No, I would say it's a form of that. And, I think the people, though, in the multi-generational, most of the time they're doing it to maybe help their kids get a good start, or maybe they are, looking to offset expenses themselves by bringing in someone in the family. So I just think, every situation is a little bit different, and that's one way. But I have someone that works for me, and she's single, and she bought a home and rents out 3 of the bedrooms, and it works awesome for her because she's pretty much covering her entire mortgage with renting out those rooms.
Russell, in your capacity as a real estate professional, are you seeing more of this? Are you seeing more buyers who are finding ways such as this to maybe supplement their expenses, supplement their ability to pay for the house?
We are, and we actually saw a couple of years ago, Salt Lake changed their rules on ADUs, so the accessory dwelling units, of making it, a little bit easier to get one approved, where people are actually building, either adding on to their homes or even building a standalone structure that they can rent out. And so even Salt Lake County has made it, to where that becomes a viable option. And so we are seeing that people are taking advantage of that.
So one of the things too, and I don't know if you know this, but I understand that there are places in our state where you can only have a certain number of unrelated people living in the same house. Is this something that, is that part of the conversation with this house hacking? Do we need to change those zoning laws?
So yes, that is, and it's going to be city to city, on those rules. And so I think where they're at, and I'd have to pull them up to look at it exactly, but the last time I looked at it, I actually thought it was fairly fair. So because you also want to be careful with having, 6 different unrelated families in a house, one just for, the convenience of housing, but also, the risks that are involved with bringing in people that you don't know, right? I don't know that domestic violence would go up, but just mitigating that risk of having that many unassociated parties in the same house.
Yeah, and I know you're not a lender, Russell, but you deal with so many and you deal with so many buyers. But I suppose you also have to caution buyers when they're relying on these payments and other things, that at the end of the day, if their tenant bails out or something else happens, they still need to qualify for the loan and they still need to make the payments on the loan, correct?
Correct. And so that's one of the things, as you go into buying a home this way, you're not only buying a home, in this case that you would live in, you're also immediately becoming a landlord. And so that's where, best practices of having 3 to 6 months of reserves, and some lenders actually will require it. If you're counting that income, they're actually going to also require a reserve anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Then you've got to make sure, you're now obligated to make the repairs and make sure the home is livable for other people. And so you are jumping into the landlord space, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You're going to want to make sure, one, you can cover the mortgage, but also any other repairs that might come up, and do that without the potential rental income that you're going to receive.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Russell Fawcett with the Stern team of Omada Real Estate. And remember, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds by visiting sternteam.com to find out more. So I think it's a really interesting idea, and I'm thinking, it is bigger than just, parents and kids. So you could, for example, buy a duplex and then rent out the other side.
That's the easy way to do it.
That is certainly
sort of the clean way to do it.
Right, where, and you may still be a little uncomfortable, right? You're going to share a wall, but it definitely is like two distinct living spaces. So we want to hear from our listeners. You can call us at 801-575-TALK. Are you willing to rent out part of your home to become a home owner? Why or why not? Or if you've done this, you can call us and share your experience. It's 801-575-TALK, or keep texting us at 57500.
This heat's nice, but the real heat, it's coming. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and now is a great time to schedule a preseason AC tune-up. And I'm about to save you some money. Normally, we charge $129 to tune up your air conditioner. But if you call today, Wednesday, March 18th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $100 off and tune up your air conditioner for only $29. Call Any Hour Services today and schedule 801-443-7400. Manufacturers recommend annual maintenance to save on utility bills, identify breakdowns before they happen, and to help your air conditioner last for as many years as possible. 801-443-7400. If it's more convenient, go to anyhourservices.com and look for the red button that says Book Online. Schedule your $29 tune-up there. That's a $129 value for only $29, if you get a hold of us today. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Buying a home or refinancing can be complicated. So who do you call? Who's trustworthy, has decades of experience, and can get you a loan done quickly? Who will work hard for you to find the great rate and reasonable closing costs? The answer's clear. Loans by Rick. Right now, Loans by Rick is giving a 30-year fixed rate at 5.5% and a 15-year fixed at just 4.625%.
He can't do that.
Oh, yes, he can. For over 25 years, Rick has helped people navigate the mortgage process and get the financing they need to buy a home or refinance. That even includes paying off debt with a cash-out refi. And because Loans by Rick works with over 80 bank and lending relationships, we shop multiple lenders to find you the very best deal. Whether you're buying a home or refinancing, call Loans by Rick at 801-809-SAVE. That's 801-809-SAVE, or visit loansbyrick.com. Rick Bob, NMLS 241179, Vintage Lending, NMLS 287106, Equal Housing Lender, 30-year APR 5.78%, 15-year APR 4.78%. Some restrictions apply.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials. AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org.
Put your phone on D&D, that means do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D, that means do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better. your energy comes back. You don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out SodaWeightLoss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
Okay, we're talking about house hacking. I wish I had a better name, but anyway,
Home ownership hacking
with help. You buy a home, but in order to not be upside down with your payment, you rent out part of it to make home ownership possible, which I assume means you also live in part of it.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think that's the idea that we're talking about. And it can be a single family home and you're maybe renting out the basement, or we're talking about you could buy a duplex, you live in one side and you rent out the other side. Right. So that's it's a way to get into home ownership. So, excuse me, we're taking your live calls right now. It's 801-575-TALK. Is this the solution? Are you willing to do this to become a homeowner? Call us 575-TALK. 801-575-TALK, or text us 57500. We have several texters. I also wanted to talk to our producer, Caitlin Johnston, about why this is maybe a good or not good idea.
Well, I don't know for sure, but it is something that I've almost come to terms with, that if I want to buy a home and own the home and be a homeowner, I've been, I kind of gave up on the dream a little bit, a little while, but now I'm like starting to reconsider this. I don't, as a single unmarried human, I'm sure I could get qualified, but I still think that payment would kind of drown me a little bit. I could handle it, but I don't want to be house broke. Mm-hmm. And so, and this is a problem with rent too. But if it's to buy a home, you can have this large-ish payments, or you can have that under your own and still be responsible for it, or you can try to supplement that income with renting out a room or a basement. And I'm trying to decide if this might be a path for me. I don't know if it makes me nervous to maybe rely on that, so I wouldn't want to have to rely on it. But this is something that I think many of us, my generation, I'm 31, I've been, struggling through the ups and downs of the housing market for the last 5 years. It's kind of what we have to consider as like a last, resort.
Mm-hmm. And you're also really, admittedly, a private person. And so having a roommate or living with someone full time and sharing your house with them might be a reason not to buy a house or not to do something, even though affording the house is, you're in a catch-22.
It is.
Do I afford a house and buy a house, or do I have a roommate?
Yeah, and that's the question. I don't know. I very much like being alone. Can I afford to be on my own? I can do it, but I'd struggle. I'd probably be more comfortable if it was like a basement apartment. Then you kind of have your separate levels, that helps, or a duplex, but those are probably more expensive. Because even just, like I said, qualifying for a 3-bedroom townhome or a 2-bedroom townhome, those are still $400,000, $450,000, even $350,000, and that's where that's the low range. So, and it's very difficult. So everyone's just kind of scraping for solutions, but there's a lot to be considered here. Pros and cons. We had someone call in just over the break to mention that in certain places you may need to consider getting a landlord license, and I know nothing about that, and that's a question we should probably look into as well. What more does this come with, and what more responsibility do you have? But is this worth it to be a homeowner and maybe get equity?
We are not giving legal advice.
No, I'm just saying we're trying to figure this out.
Because, so not only did that caller say you might need a landlord license, which is something I have never heard of, but we also have a texter who told us that listeners should be aware that rental by the room in a home is not always permissible in every municipality, and it can vary from city to city. So, yes, it can be hard to enforce, but you should be aware of that. So
it can also vary within a city depending on your home,
the neighborhood, and the HOA if you're part of that.
And rules and covenants that almost govern neighborhood by neighborhood in some parts of the state.
We had another comment, and this was on our Facebook post, but they said this. It's funny because people have been doing this in Utah since I moved here in 2017. You buy a house, and you have 3 or 4 roommates because it's unaffordable otherwise because the pay is low. Wages are too low here.
Yes, and I do think that this happens among friends as well, because I don't think I'd want to rent to someone I didn't know. I would be willing to. I see on Facebook all the time people saying 1 room available in this townhouse. Yeah. That's what's happening here, and it may just not be. It might be slipping in different. I don't know how it works legally. Yeah. But these are just all questions. But it's really the only way in some of these that you can afford these. These homes.
My son right now. So we have a lot of kids, but one of my kids, he's 26. He's almost 27. No, he's almost 26. Almost off of our insurance. He's living with a friend who bought a townhome. So the friend was able to make the down payment, and now he is renting it to 3 of his friends as well, and that helps pay the mortgage.
Yes.
But my son is like, gosh, I want to do that one day.
One day,
yeah, I get it.
Right, and I mean, it does. Like I said, it's scary to have to think about maybe relying on that, which is why I wouldn't be comfortable unless I was for sure like I can handle this without that additional income. It would just be a lot easier on me to rent something out. But that's just like renting an apartment. It's just you're paying your friend and supporting them versus a corporation. Honestly,
we actually talked about that, my wife and I, because we're empty nesters. We have a house that's fairly big, and we thought, especially working near the ski resort, a lot of the transient employees that come in for teaching or instructing or patrolling, whatever, rent it out every winter to a couple. But she was concerned about the fact that we wouldn't have a separate entrance. I mean, some houses have a basement, almost like a basement apartment, and that privacy. And I think that's what we're talking about a little bit is the homeowner still wants their privacy.
Yeah, we have several other texters, and there a couple of them have brought up parking. So one person says that their neighbors do this and they hate the parking. All of the cars are on the street, and another person says, yeah, maybe this would help, but parking can cause your neighbors headaches. One person says insurance might be the biggest problem, right? I don't know about that either. And you may consider if it's a condo or a townhouse, they don't increase in value the same way that
That's
a
good
home
point.
does.
That's interesting.
So,
because if I were to buy anything, it would be I can only pretty much afford a condo or a townhouse because that's what life is.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
It's interesting you mentioned insurance because you might want to read the fine print of your homeowner's insurance policy to see if, in fact, you're covered from damage
renting
by renters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That if that's
I'm like, is this more trouble than it's worth? But the concept is like you said, I think this is happening more than we realize, and it's
I think so
maybe
too.
we just. There's an article that called it house hacking, and I've heard
Yeah.
that phrase used many times, so that's kind of why we labeled it that. But it is it's the hack into the home market, to be a homeowner.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because I live up here in the valley, and you kind of have to look like far west in some areas to find something that's kind of affordable but still nice and not scary.
Yeah.
Or I'm from Price, Carbon County. I look down there. There's some that are in my range. They're more so fixer-uppers.
Yeah.
And so that's frustrating as well.
And your commute would be
I'm not moving to
ridiculous.
Price with this job.
do
No,
that, right?
I'm just saying I look down there because I get curious. I'm
Yeah.
like, what's happening down here? Because I like small town feels, and that's what I would be looking for. But I'm willing to make sacrifices, but not sacrifices of my own sanity by sharing a house with someone I'm afraid of.
Yeah,
or
it's just
something.
interesting. And, I think it's part of the conversation about affordable housing. And one of the things we've talked about on this show before is when we talk about starter homes, one of the things that the legislature's done is give money for brand new homes, but that's not really how people start.
Yes.
Mostly people start by buying an older home. Maybe it's a fixer-upper. Maybe they're getting into an older townhome even so that they can build equity, right? And this is a way to get in. So maybe you live in a duplex on one side and you're maybe a little uncomfortably close to your neighbor, but you can move up from there because you can take that equity and transition into a single-family home.
I do really appreciate that first-time home buyer incentive because when I skim, I'm not working with a real estate agent or anything. And when I'm actually serious about doing this, I will be doing that. I'm not just doing this on my own. But I skim and I look for new builds because I want to be able to utilize that first-time home buyers. And I'm happy the state is helping just to get that down payment because just saving that alone is very hard.
So this is a funny text as we getting close to wrap up. My son, who used to sneak in the basement window, is now married with children and is buying the house, and has that same basement window has been turned into a separate entrance in and out of the basement.
Well,
so, he knew the path in and out. And then another texter lets us know that some cities actually require a separate entrance. It's not just a privacy issue. It's required of a city ordinance. And then they say that their daughter recently bought a townhome in Lehigh, convinced some of her friends to rent from her, so she converted the basement family room into her own bedroom. So she's got the basement part, and then she's rented out the other part. And she says that it works out well. And then another texter, this is a really good thing, speaking of HOAs, mortgage payments don't cover HOA fees. And so remember, we've talked with Russell Fawcett before, talking about you got to be careful sometimes because with townhomes, the HOA fees can be significant.
Yeah, all of this is, I would just say, if you're considering doing this, myself included, just think about all the things that could happen and make sure you know all the rules. Because it's a great idea in theory, but I'm curious, yeah.
I learned a new concept today.
A new
House
concept.
Hacking. Never
we
heard
have
of
one
it
final
before.
one, right? And this is from David. Two of his sisters in Orem bought a house together, and they rent out bedrooms to people. I think in a college town, super great.
Yeah, and almost a necessity. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if this is funny or not, but there's a Salt Lake woman who said she's tried everything, even reaching out to officials to get a squirrel to stop terrorizing her.
I know.
feel sorry for her, maybe, but I also laugh a little bit. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Squirrel stalking.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Utah's ski resorts are watching the weather closely, hoping this week's heat wave doesn't melt too much of their lower snowpack. Beaver Mountain Operations Manager Travis Seeholzer tells KSL he was optimistic about spring skiing.
Felt pretty good about it until this forecast kind of popped up with these high temperatures. And, I think it's over pretty much the entire western United States right now.
Beaver Mountain has already canceled a snowboard slalom event and their annual pond skim. They hope to stay open until April 5th. The KSL Weather Center says we'll be 20 degrees or more above average for the next 4 days. Cottonwood Heights police are looking for a couple who investigators say have been stealing from state liquor stores and then using ride shares to get away. Detective Jeff Potter says the man and woman have mainly been taking whiskey and vodkas, and they've hit 4 stores this month.
They've become brazen and realize that nothing's going to happen to them.
Potter believes the suspects might live in the area. He asks anyone with information to call Cottonwood Heights Police. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Police in West Des Moines, Iowa have made an arrest in a cold case murder that took place in 2011. Realtor Ashley Oakland was shot and killed during an open house. And today, Police Assistant Chief Jody Hayes announced the arrest of 53-year-old Kristen Ramsey.
She has been indicted by the Dallas County Grand Jury for the offense of murder in the first degree. At this time, no other arrests are anticipated.
Ramsey is being held on $2 million bond. Police did not offer any information on a connection between the victim and the suspect. Your money at this moment, the Dow's down 389 points on the day to 46,603. Coming up, the heat's here. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror, I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness, that is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. Let's check in again with Cormac Bone.
No major accidents or delays on our freeways across the Wasatch Front. I-15 is a calm drive between Brigham City and Spanish Fork. We do have a crash, though. Looks like it may have cleared off the road in the last couple of minutes. On 114th South at South Jordan Gateway, they were blocking multiple lanes both directions, but delays are still there, whether you're east or westbound on 114th South, light as they are. Otherwise, your roadways across the Wasatch Front shouldn't be anything out of the normal. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, we should get to 79 in Salt Lake City, which would tie the record high for the day. 80 tomorrow, 82 on Friday, which would be an all-time high for the month of March. Right now it's 64 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
This next story reminds me of a situation we had when we purchased our house, Holly. I kept hearing this noise in the ceiling,
oh, wow,
in the attic, and it was just a shuffling noise. And we thought that some magpies or something had nested up there. So I went up there, crawled in the attic. Of course, it's dark. I've got a little headlamp on. I'm trying to stand on the 2x4 so I don't fall through the thing. And I realized that there's a slight hole in the roof in an attic where something could come up through it. So I reached down to clear the hole. And I came within about 6 inches of a raccoon.
Oh, wow.
Luckily was asleep.
Oh, wow.
But she stirred, and it scared me so badly. I almost ran through the attic. I mean, like, both of us were like, whoa.
Yeah,
and
right.
So, a raccoon, I assumed that had I touched it, it would have been unfriendly. And I was
unfriendly.
I'll admit, I was a big baby.
Well,
anyway.
Things that, like, they surprise us. But in this story about the squirrels, it's a little bit amusing, but also you have a stalking squirrel.
Yeah.
And it stalked me for 2 weeks and bit me. I had to go to the urgent care and then the ER, and then they sent me for infusion treatments for rabies vaccines because it's not normal for squirrels to be attacking humans.
That's Jennifer Barnes. She says that after the initial attack, she contacted Utah's Department of Wildlife Resources, who was unable to help. She says the squirrel had babies, and all 4 animals now lurk in her yard and regularly try to attack her.
I'm vegan, okay? I've had a really hard time battling these animals because I don't want to cause harm to anybody else. So this has been terrible.
The DWR identified the animal as a rock squirrel, which they say can be removed, but they also say they don't usually handle these situations themselves. They said that Barnes can do it herself or talk to a nuisance control company. Reagan Edelman, KSL News Radio.
I have a simple solution. My BB gun.
I know.
Maybe
well,
that's
okay.
mean.
We do, before we turn to our guest, we do have a texter that says, I don't understand this. This is a simple shot from an air-powered pellet gun or a simple cage. Like, have her call me. I will take care of the problem.
Right.
So,
Yeah, she's a vegan. She doesn't want to hurt it. We have one of those.
I get it.
It's called a have-a-heart. You just have a cage.
yeah, but you
The
can have a
animal goes
cage
in
and
it.
you can relocate it. But what's interesting to me is she said, so this squirrel stalked her for 2 weeks and then bit her, but has also trained her babies now to stalk this woman. So we're looking for more answers. So we're turning to a nuisance control company, the owner of Critter Remover, Zach Wojcik. Thank you for joining us, Zach.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
So is this typical squirrel behavior, Zach?
You know, it's really not. Usually we see these kind of things when squirrels are being hand-fed, by people. And usually with rock squirrels, we usually don't see those in attics. Usually it's a different species of squirrels that we see up there. But it is pretty rare to have them act like that, other than, they're kind of like a mama bear, protect her babies. And that's probably exactly what's happened here is, she just looks at that woman as a threat and is trying to be a good mom and protect her babies.
So I don't, honestly, I don't know the difference between different types of squirrels. So are there some that are, you mentioned the mama bear instinct, mama squirrel instinct. I totally understand that. Are there squirrels, though, are there species in general that are a little crazier than other kinds?
I would say so. There's an illegally introduced squirrel called an eastern fox squirrel that has kind of taken over, especially in the Salt Lake area. And every year they spread out more. And they do more damage and they're more aggressive than your common gray squirrel that is native to Utah. And the downside with those squirrels is they're actually pushing the gray squirrels out. And those are the main ones that we see in the attics and stuff like that, is the eastern fox squirrel. And how you can kind of differentiate that squirrel from the other squirrels is they've kind of got like an orange yellowish chest, and they're a lot bigger than your standard gray squirrel. Those ones we see to be quite a bit more aggressive.
Rogue squirrels. Who would have thought, Holly? What's this world coming to? So tell us this, if you would. When you get called out on something like this, and I know it's probably on a case-by-case basis, a squirrel may be different than a raccoon, maybe different than a skunk. What do you typically do? How is your removal done, or is it just dependent on the situation?
Yeah, so basically what we do is we get those squirrels out of there, and, once we know they're out of there, we seal up the home. The best thing you can do is not just remove that squirrel, but to physically seal up your home so that future ones can't move in. And, places like Salt Lake and other places, there's always going to be squirrels running around, especially because the population has just boomed. And so basically we secure your home, and we do this for every animal. It doesn't matter what it is, raccoons, squirrels, mice, rats. We secure your home so that you never have to deal with this again. What I always tell customers is, it's a super easy solution to handle the problem now, right when you find out about it. But it gets super expensive the longer that this goes on, because not only are they chewing wires, they're, ruining, contaminating insulation, ductwork, stuff like that. And so the best option is to physically, remove that animal, fortify your home, and so future ones can't get in.
Zach, let me ask you a question about whether what happens if they're outside. So if the squirrel, or you maybe have a raccoon or a skunk family, and they're outside your home, but they seem pretty aggressive, what do you do then that's different?
We basically do the same thing on the outside. We love seeing wildlife, especially on the outside. I personally absolutely love seeing them. I think those squirrels look really cute, but I also, on my end, I see the damage that they cause. And so, I would depending on what species, what animal it is, some animals can be relocated and then you don't even got to worry about them causing any kind of damage or anything like that. But obviously you let it go, that population explodes, especially with, squirrels and stuff like that. And once their pheromones and everything are in your home, any other squirrel that's in that area is going to be attracted to that area to get in, because basically what these squirrels are doing is all year long, they're just building up cache full of nuts and to get them through the winter time. And by leaving that, not only, is it contaminating your home, but it attracts other bugs and stuff like that into your home. And so a lot of times you can have more of an insect population on your home because they're living off the nuts and everything else that these squirrels bring in.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Zach Wojcik, owner of Critter Remover, a nuisance control company. So good information for inside and outside your home.
That could also help with the renter situation, getting rid of unwanted critters.
Renters.
Right.
Oh, I was going to say unwanted renters.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Who are critters?
Oh, gosh. Okay. So we learned that the giving machines, we talked about that leading up to the holidays. They brought in millions of donations this year. And so from books to meals to hygiene products, widespread benefits, even little piggies. We're going to learn about the impact when we come back after the break.
I know it's Wednesday, but give me 60 seconds and I'll explain how spending $29 guarantees your air conditioner won't break down this summer, or we'll give you your money back. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and when you have Any Hour do the annual maintenance for your air conditioner, it comes with our no breakdown guarantee. 801-443-7400. Normally, we charge $129 to tune up your air conditioner, but not today. If you call today, Wednesday, March 18th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $100 off and tune up your air conditioner for only $29. 801-443-7400. If your AC breaks down any time this summer after we've tuned it up, we'll dispatch a technician to your home to diagnose and troubleshoot your system for free, and we'll give you back the $29 you paid for the tune-up. Where else are you going to find an offer with this little risk? You literally get your money back if your air conditioner breaks down. Call Any Hour Services and schedule your $29 air conditioner tune-up. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word INBOX to 57500. That's INBOX to 57500.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you with high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Jackson Hewitt has a great tax prep deal, $149 or less. Missing out is like ignoring the check engine light in your car. You'll regret it. Seriously, the price is only $149 or less, no matter how complicated. So don't wait. Like when you get a password expires today alert, or you're shopping online and there's only one item left. It's like your taxes are in the cart. Just complete the purchase. Hurry! This deal for $149 or less is like your phone at 1%. It's about to power down. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Every business starts with an idea. With Smart Business Buying from Amazon Business, get everything you need to grow in one familiar place. From office supplies to IT essentials and maintenance tools. Ready to bring your visions to life? Learn how at AmazonBusiness.com.
Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs change, kids grow up, new memes come and go. But what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Well, thanks to the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need the most, that finds and fixes any issues before you even notice. It's like a super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. You get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices and no one battling for bandwidth for the next 5 years. All your devices will be working in perfect harmony with the equipment, with no annual contracts, no fees, and no strings. So even though your kid will grow up and you still won't understand 6, 7, the price for your sharp, reliable internet will stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
You know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
Yeah, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, anything, you need to tell an adult, someone you know and trust. That can be hard, but speaking up about a problem is what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
The new Inside Sources.
Greg, during the lead up to the Christmas season, we talked with a number of people about service opportunities that they could do for their community and even around the world. And one of the really popular ones, and remember we talked about the big red machines that were installed at City Creek. They were giving machines, and it was a project from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but to allow people to donate money to a specific thing of their choice. So just like going to a vending machine and you're picking your bag of chips, you can go and buy a chicken, or you're going to buy a pig or something like that. So they had their report just come out, and it was really impressive. And so I wanted to have Amy Kobeg from the Church News, who has, she's been on our show before to keep us up to date on this, to really tell us what happened with this year's, last year's giving machines. Thanks for joining us, Amy.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great to return and full picture give the kind of report on what the 2025 Christmas season looked like. And it was a busy one for giving machines around the world. They were in new cities, new countries around the world, 126 locations, and people showed up. They turned out, and they brought their money, and they donated to humanitarian projects, to things like farm animals, like you said, chickens and pigs and ducks and all sorts of things for people around the world who can take those items and use them to lift themselves and their families, sometimes out of poverty. It's really making a big difference just for about a month of these Christmas donations around the world.
Amy, can you remind our listeners what, and Holly mentioned it at the outset, but what these machines are, how they operate, and how people who donate through the machines are able to sort of pick what they're donating particularly?
Yes, that is a great question, Greg, because short-term memory, we forget, what happened just a few months ago. This was just Christmas. But if you haven't seen them before, these red, they're really, like a vending machine, but instead of having a candy bar and a bag of chips, they have little white cards that list a partner organization that the church works with. Sometimes it's the Red Cross or another organization throughout the world. The church partners with organizations throughout the world, some of them more locally working, some of them international. But it lists that item and then how much it costs to get that. So something like school supplies could cost, $5. A chicken may cost $3 or something like that. So you can fill up your cart and check out. There's even an option to purchase every single item all at once and donate all of that to someone in need. So each one of those listed in the vending machine But those items, then once the purchase is made by a donator, then the partner organization that the church works with receives that money and is able to turn around and actually purchase that item and get it to a person in need.
Amy, I want to ask you about at least one specific area, but first, could you just tell us about how many people purchased items from these giving machines and about how many items were purchased?
Yeah, so 4.7 million items purchased. It's a lot of items. So if we break that down, 3.5 million meals, 500,000, 500,000 children will receive vaccinations because of this. Menstrual hygiene items, 350,000 those. 108,000 children and adults will receive essential clothing. 97,000 books and school supplies and technology resources for schools across the world, and 40,000 hygiene kits. So that doesn't include each item in the kit. Those are kits put together with soap, deodorant, toothpaste, those things. So a lot of items, actually. And this was, as I mentioned at the beginning, this was a record year for the giving machines as far as countries and locations. So this was also one of the bigger years that the church has seen where people are actually visiting these vending machines and able to give and be a part of this.
I completely read this wrong, Amy. I thought that they raised $4.7 million. They sold 4.7 million items.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. Yes. I mean,
yes.
Tell us about the communities that are affected. Go ahead.
Well, that's leading into that next question about communities is if you think about the items, we can measure in dollar amounts, and in talking to some of the people behind this, they don't like to mention the dollar amounts, not because they want to hide it or anything, but because they say that doesn't really show the impact. When you talk about items, you're talking about families, you're talking about individuals, and in certain countries, a book may cost a certain amount in one country. It may be a lot cheaper in another country, and especially some of these items like foodstuffs or farm animals where you have chickens. That in the United States would cost a certain amount. It's a fraction of the amount it costs to give that chicken away in the Philippines or in South Africa. And so the impact of that money that you're donating is even more than it would be for you if you're donating it, in usually a pretty more affluent situation if you're able to. But the impact it has on someone's life to have, 2 or 3 chickens that cost even less, it can stretch and it can lift people really quickly. One of the stories of impact that I loved that the church kind of pointed out this year was that of some piglets and some people in the Philippines who have received piglets. They raised them as a family, and then they're able to sell them once they're fully grown. These are healthy animals that are then sold for a much higher profit. And then they use that money to send their children to school, to get school supplies, to lift their families over generations out of poverty. And they just keep turning around and they receive, again, maybe some more piglets, or they raise more chickens. But over time and really quickly, it is helping children learn some valuable skills, and then their families are spending that and reinvesting it back into their futures.
I have one more quick question for you, Amy. We're running out of time, but I was really pleased and intrigued to see how many menstrual kits were provided, especially in Nepal. Can you just briefly mention to our listeners why that's such an important thing for those young women and women?
Yes, I love that story too. So in Nepal, there is a stigma about menstruation, especially among younger women that are taught you can't go to school. You're unclean. This is not something that you go to school during your period, right? And so these young women will receive through partner organizations and donations through Giving Machines some education and reusable menstrual products that they can then continue their schooling. They can use those, and it once again just is completely changing communities of young women who are going to school, and they're living more empowered lives to feel like they're not unwanted, because they are wanted and they're needed. And so one simple thing as a reusable pad is really changing individual lives, just one by one. And when I say one by one, it is one by one, but it's also, 350,000 months of menstrual hygiene care was donated just this past year at Giving Machines. So you do the math on that, and that's going to have a global impact over time.
Thank you, Amy. But you know what, Amy? We need you in studio next time. I miss you. I used to love seeing you all the time. So we got to get you in again. Thanks for joining us, okay? And when we come back, as temperatures climb this week, what we should be watching with our gardens. I noticed that the tulips and the daffodils and things were starting to come out.
I'm worried about the fruit
earlier
trees.
than ever. We'll talk with a KSL Greenhouse Show after the break.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. The former BYU wide receiver accused of rape was back before a judge today. Parker Kingston appeared virtually from his home wearing a suit and tie as both sides discussed evidence and witnesses that could come into play in a trial. Kingston, who is charged with first-degree felony rape, has not yet entered a plea. He was released from jail on a $100,000 bond with an ankle monitor. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump's new pick for Homeland Security Secretary is being questioned by a Senate committee today. Senator Markwayne Mullin was told by committee chair Rand Paul he didn't have the temperament to run DHS, referencing comments Mullin made after Paul was assaulted at his home in Kentucky.
Haven't heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke and it was heated and I made a mistake. Haven't heard any of those words.
Sir, actually, it wasn't heated. And I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Good. So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote that may or may not vote for you to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
I did not say I supported it. I said I understood it.
During the hearing, Mullin said he wanted ICE to start focusing on deporting migrants already in custody. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 403 points, the S&P is down 43. And coming up, record high heat this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News time 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Interest rates have gone up for buying a home, but not for remodeling the exterior of your home. This week only at RGS Exteriors, it's our zero interest financing sale. That's right, 0% interest on any gutters, siding, windows, or any exterior remodeling project on your home. We have programs for 12, 18, and 24 months, all with 0% financing. But the sale is this week only at RGS Exteriors. Want stunning James Hardy siding? 0%. Need to replace your windows? 0%. New gutters or gutter covers? 0%. How about a full extreme makeover? That's right, 0%. We've also been serving Utah for 5 generations, so you can trust us to do the job right. All work is backed by our exclusive 10-year everything guarantee for total peace of mind. And this week only, everything is available for 0% financing with approved credit. Don't put off your new exterior project any longer. As always, estimates are free, so call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. Let's talk conventional versus FHA loans. Both offer cash-out refinances up to 80% loan-to-value or LTV, so which is best for you? It's kind of like Uber and Lyft. I always compare the two before booking a ride. Conventional loans don't have mortgage insurance under 80% LTV. However, the rates and costs get higher with lower credit scores, cash-out, and high LTVs. FHA loans always have mortgage insurance, but the rates are lower, they don't penalize you for cash out and high LTV loans, and they allow for higher debt-to-income ratios. FHA often results in lower payment even with mortgage insurance. We can analyze your situation within minutes. Call us today. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
As a social influencer, my days can be busy. 4 a.m., I hit the gym. 4:32, protein smoothie. 5:08, save time and money bundling my home and auto insurance with Progressive. Wait, if I bundle and save time, what would I do then? Just sit here and reflect? Like, why am I qualified to influence anyone? And how those weights are hollow? And half of my followers are bots.
You could save time and money bundling your home and auto when you switch to Progressive. It's one less thing to worry about during your already busy day. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Tito Nani.
We have no issues on our major valley freeways as we begin the 11 o'clock hour. I-15, 215, and I-80 all rolling along with no delays. Gear up for adventure at the Utah RV Super Show. Find gear, talk with experts, and explore new 2026 RVs. March 19th through 22nd at Mountain America Expo Center. UtahRVSupershow.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're expecting record highs to begin today and carry on through Saturday. That means highs in or nearing the 80s with clear sunny skies. Right now it is 67 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We spoke earlier about turning on my microphone, and we spoke with Adam Small, KSL News Radio's Adam Small, about the hot temperatures that we're expecting here in Salt Lake and throughout the state, similar to maybe record-setting.
The hottest temperature we've ever recorded in Salt Lake in the month of March was 80 degrees back in 2012. Over the next 4 days, we're expected to break that record at least twice.
We're looking at early June temperatures here in mid to late March. It's obviously going to come as a shock, especially as we were just, about 40-something degrees the other day.
And you remember what he said it was going to be in St. George?
Yeah, like 96.
The 90s.
So look, it's the weather will feel nice. It's not quite 100 degrees, right? It's not summer weather for me yet. But my concern is really what it means to my plants who don't know what time of year it is, and my fruit trees. So we have Ton Bettis, KSL Greenhouse Show host and horticulturist with USU Extension, to join us. Thanks for jumping on, Ton.
Not a problem.
So how are these temperatures impacting our gardens and our trees?
Well, obviously, I'm actually down in southern Utah County and in the orchard area, and I've seen peaches in bloom, apricots, pluots. So things are blooming about 3 to 4 weeks ahead of time.
And isn't that, I guess from my own experience, Ton, a risk in as much as we may not be through with cold temperatures? And so if we have something like that coming out early and then we have a freeze, we could lose a substantial amount of crops. I'm sure there are other concerns, but isn't that one of them?
Yeah, we absolutely could. And, I've listened to Adam Small and other meteorologists, and it says that we're trending toward more spring-like and even summer-like conditions, but trending doesn't mean absolute. And, just last week we had a day that we barely hit 40 degrees, and that could very well happen again. And if it gets, once those blossoms open, if it gets below about 28 or 29 degrees, you start to see a lot of damage in the fruit trees.
So what can, I guess, home gardeners do about their fruit trees? And then what do you recommend to your orchard owners?
Well, the orchardists play the long game, and, they have, you see, if you drive through Utah County, what looks like windmills, and they're actually big fans that can sometimes help blow warmer air down into the orchard floors. They sometimes use propane heating strategically placed where air will move it. But on the home scale, if you've got 4 or 5 fruit trees in your backyard, there isn't much you can do but just be patient and hope for the best, because you can't really put heaters out there. You can't really practically cover trees. And so you just hope for the best that you get a harvest.
I also wonder about this, Ton, because we've had a year that has been poor in terms of water. The warmer temperatures are certainly going to require a lot of our plants and crops to get water earlier, but we don't have as much this year. That's going to be a problem, isn't it, in the fall or maybe even this summer?
It may be. I've been in communication with some of the bigger water brokers in the state, the Conservancy districts. You've got Weber Basin, Jordan, and Central Utah, and they're not really ready to make a lot of statements yet, but it looks like things are trending toward 25 or 30% cuts on the homeowner level in available water. Instead of being able to irrigate 3 times a week, maybe irrigate twice a week, water being turned on a little bit later in the season and shut off earlier instead of October 1, maybe September 15th. And so far, it looks like we will have some water, and trees will survive, your gardens will survive, even your lawns will be fine. They may brown out a little bit, but it is something that we hope doesn't progress into the next year.
So we do have a listener question. What about putting a tarp over the tree in their yard?
Do you have a tarp big enough to do it? And if your tree's
My trees are dwarfs.
And so you could try doing that, and it may help, especially if it's windy or, and it can help if your trees are small enough. But if you have traditional 20 to 25 foot high fruit trees, it gets really hard to be able to stretch a tarp over a tree to where you might actually do some damage, breaking branches and things. And so it is something that in theory is possible, but sometimes a little harder to implement.
I know every year is different, Ton, but from what you're seeing where you are in the south part of Utah County, how early are we? You're seeing, for example, buds and blossoms that you would have normally expected to see when?
Well, apricots are kind of one of our indicator species on when is it's on, and for lack of a better term, and the apricots are between 3 and 4 weeks early. Wow. And I've seen forsythia blooming already, which is an indicator it's time to start with your lawn care with a pre-emergent product, and that's generally not until early to mid-April. And so we are about 3 to 4 weeks ahead of where we normally would be.
Can I ask you about regular garden plants?
Sure.
I know people are going to, including myself, are going to be tempted to plant. Is it still too early, though, to reliably do that?
Well, cool season crops, I would go ahead and get in. Your radishes and lettuce and broccoli and things along those. There are traditional cool season crops. Get them planted, because we are going to have a couple of 80-plus degree days. But then we're going to trend down toward the high 60s and low 70s, which is perfect weather for that. I've talked to a couple of people that have said, I'm going to plant my tomatoes. And I'm just like, well, hold your horses. You know, you probably can get them in early, but right now it's just too early, too risky. I mean, if you want to do it, I mean, you always can if you can find mature plants, but there's a strong risk of, you know, us getting cold again, and you would lose all your warm season crops like the corn and tomatoes and peppers and things of that nature.
I remember one year where I planted tomatoes 3 times because the freezes kept coming
dying.
late. I think I had to replant into June.
You'd have been cheaper just buying tomatoes.
I know. It's not a money saver to grow them. I know.
Hey, Ton, in the last 30 seconds, is this a statewide problem, or are things better?
It is. Northern Utah is a little better off than southern Utah. I think right now we're sitting at 55 or 60% of normal, and I've seen figures southern Utah, I believe, being down into 40. And so with our warmer temperatures, yes, it is a bigger risk for southern Utah.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Ton Bettis.
You are welcome.
Horticulturist and guest host, or co-host, of KSL's Greenhouse Show.
I mean, on the one hand, it is fun to see the buds coming out.
Well, I know. It feels great.
It's
I'm
cool,
not a
but
winter lover, but I do know it's a little early. So, yeah. They're teasing us. We could still have a major snowstorm.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, I don't see one coming, but there could be one. So, look, this story, I just saw this break this morning. Allegations are being reported against civil rights advocate Cesar Chavez of inappropriate behavior with women and minors. And one of the people who says, yes, I was one of his victims is Dolores Huerta, who is a very famous labor organizer in California. We're going to talk about what we know next.
This heat's nice, but the real heat, it's coming. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and now is a great time to schedule a preseason AC tune-up. And I'm about to save you some money. Normally, we charge $129 to tune up your air conditioner. But if you call today, Wednesday, March 18th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $100 off and tune up your air conditioner for only $29. Call Any Hour Services today and schedule 801-443-7400. Manufacturers recommend annual maintenance to save on utility bills, identify breakdowns before they happen, and to help your air conditioner last for as many years as possible. 801-443-7400. If it's more convenient, go to anyhourservices.com and look for the red button that says Book Online. Schedule your $29 tune-up there. That's a $129 value for only $29 if you get a hold of us today. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Listen, parents, I've seen your search history. How to survive spring break without totally losing my mind. Take a deep breath because I'm about to make this so easy. This is Julie from the Visitors Bureau in Logan. Step 1. Reserve your hotel room right now. Step 2, get to the American West Heritage Center for the original Baby Animal Days, April 1st through the 4th and 9th through the 11th. We're talking newborn lambs, sassy kids, goat kids, not your kids, and baby bears from Yellowstone Bear World. But wait, there's more. After you've held a baby chick and thrown a tomahawk like a mountain man, you'll be hungry. Head to Angie's for the kitchen sink. It's a ginormous banana split on steroids served in an actual sink. If you finish it, you get a job washing dishes. I'm kidding. Walk it off on a scenic mountain hike or head to the Cache Valley Fun Park for laser tag, roller skating, and bowling. Baby animals, epic eats, and practically zero stress. Head to Logan for spring break or anytime you need a break. Plan your vacay at ExploreLogan.com. ExploreLogan.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
An expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Well, this is a little bit of breaking news that we've just learned this morning, but allegations are now being reported against civil rights advocate Cesar Chavez for inappropriate behavior with women and minors. This is from ABC News, who is reporting this, that Dolores Huerta, labor activist who co-founded United Farm Workers, along with Cesar Chavez, said Wednesday that she was, quote, manipulated and pressured into having sex with him. And further, Holly, she said, I can no longer stay silent and must share my experience, and there were others.
And that was why she wanted to come forward. And so when I saw this, it's surprising and not surprising, I guess. So the people in positions of power, unfortunately, use those positions of power to take advantage of people in more vulnerable situations. But Dolores Huerta is also very, very well known, and I'm looking at a story that is from the New York Times, and she said she came forward when she thought she was the only one, right? And sometimes it feels like victims in these situations feel like they're the only one, but she was not. And she detailed 2 instances of having been a victim of sexual assault by Chavez, and that she got pregnant from them and placed the babies for adoption.
Oh.
So she followed them. She followed the children's lives, but she said she did not reveal to them how they were conceived until just a few weeks ago.
So what that tells me is that if the Cesar Chavez family or foundation wants to fight this, there could be proof via DNA or something.
Oh.
That there could be something to establish that, in fact, that his DNA and hers were part of this, and that the child was born at a certain date, which would have placed her at a certain age. She's claiming it happened when she was like 12 years old.
There was a different victim. Yeah.
Right. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Others who claim that one said it started when she was 13 and he was 45.
I know, and it's really gross. So let's be clear, this is totally inappropriate. And I think one of the things that we're seeing as well now is the foundation saying that I think they're duly and appropriately horrified at these revelations.
Yeah, and so he died in 1993 at the age of 66. I don't know why she came forward, although it's certainly not a problem. I mean, something like this, I think she just felt like she had to do something about it. She co-founded the United Farm Workers with Chavez in 1962, and that's been a huge part of U.S. history. I didn't recognize the name. You knew the name right at the beginning, right before we even started this.
I did, and one of the reasons is because I do the fun facts of the day, honestly, and I've looked for fun facts about women, and she's one of the women that people are like, hey, look, she did some really amazing things back in the day for farm workers in California especially. So one of the organizations, of course, they founded the Utah Farm Workers, but there's also some other organizations that they have founded, and these organizations, there's one called La Unión del Pueblo Entero. I don't know how to say Spanish, sorry. But their statement was the allegations involving inappropriate sexual misconduct with women and the abuse of teenage girls, that they want anybody harmed by Cesar Chavez to come forward. They're canceling their activities. And I'm already seeing people saying we're going to change street names. This is really, really horrifying. And I will say this. To me, it feels like Epstein. Yeah. It feels like you have somebody in power. He knows it. He's using it to take advantage of young
really
girls.
Young females.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this, but several of the Cesar Chavez activities are reportedly being canceled across the country. The Cesar Chavez Foundation said in a statement that it was aware that Chavez had been accused of engaging in inappropriate behavior with women and minors during the time he was president of the United Farm Workers Association, and said this: "We are deeply shocked and saddened by what we are learning." That was from the Cesar Chavez Foundation.
And his own family, and again, you mentioned he passed away about 30 years ago, but his family said on Tuesday night that they were not in a position to judge the claims, but as a family steeped in the values of equity and justice, we honor the voices of those who feel unheard and who report sexual misconduct. These allegations are deeply painful to our family.
Right. And the United Farm Workers issued a statement also when it learned, and they said this is deeply troubling allegations. They said of his conduct. Then they said that Cesar Chavez behaved in ways that are incompatible with our organization's values.
So you mentioned why is this coming forward, and it is interesting that it was more than 10 years ago. Again, I'm looking at the New York Times, which is the original news outlet reporting this, that there was a member of a private Facebook group for organizers and supporters. She wrote in there, she said, so they were celebrating. There's a holiday that honors his birthday. They've canceled the celebrations for that day. It's coming up in a couple of weeks, but this woman wrote on there, "Wake up, people. The man you march for every year molested me." And then there was some silence for a while longer, but they're now finding a paper trail. So what they're seeing, they found, for example, a handwritten letter on girlish stationery. So the one who said he molested me, she was 13 years old, and she is detailing some of the things that happened to her when she was a young teenager.
And you can imagine there are so many cities across America that have Cesar Chavez Boulevard or Cesar Chavez buildings, or honoring him. Are those going to be changed if these allegations continue and there seems to be some support for them, at least in terms of their credibility? And we don't know, but these seem to be credible statements. That's going to make a big difference in how people perceive him and treat his legacy going forward. He's passed away now, but it would make a big difference, I think.
So his younger victim, Ms. Rojas, she said he did his grooming very well. He should get an Academy Award for everything he did. But he was also known for extramarital affairs with adult women, and he has 2 biographies that detail some of the extramarital activities he was engaged in, but neither one of those brought up the issues of underage children, underage girls, and the sexual assaults on minors they're so deeply troubling, right? I mean, I think we have to have a conversation about how often, unfortunately, it feels like people in positions of power abuse that position.
And people in positions of power attract, let's face it, they're people of the other sex. People in positions of power think that they are above the law a little bit, and think that because they're so good, because they're doing so much good, that their indiscretions will be overlooked. But I mean, you have to look at it from the opposite lens for me, and that is people in positions of power should be and are held to a higher standard, as they should be. So when somebody like this is going out in the community and talking about farm workers and equal pay and being treated fairly. And he's got that cloak of credibility about him. Everything he's saying, people are like, yeah. Then you learn that he's doing something behind closed doors. You wonder, why should we have taken him so seriously?
There's again, right? Do the ends justify the means? I would say absolutely not.
Right.
Myself personally believe that, but he also looked like he was using, in this New York Times story, there's a woman who was only 12 who was writing letters, kind of recruiting people, right? They don't specifically say that, but they were saying she was sending letters to other young women saying, Caesar really liked your picture very much.
Yeah, so in terms of adult and minor victims, it seems like the number of people is going to be pretty big. I mean, extramarital affairs are bad enough, but dealing with minors and people who are in non-consensual encounters, that's much, much more serious. Huerta is 95 now. These happened in the 60s, so it would have been 60 years ago.
Yeah, exactly right. And again, it's maybe it's the time that we live in. I mean, certainly we have the Epstein files. They have not been fully released. They also haven't been buried by the war in Iran. But we also have the case of the woman in France who was basically put out for sexual assault by her own husband, right? And she was sexually assaulted. I think there were more than 80 men who were accused in that, and I followed that trial really closely. I mean, just unbelievable stuff. But maybe now's the time, and maybe it's really important that we have these conversations. So I appreciate you indulging me sharing that breaking news, because it's not good, but it needs to be talked about.
Right. United Farm Workers did say that they won't be taking part in any Cesar Chavez Day activities coming up on March 31st. When we come back, 6 years ago, Utah experienced a 5.7 magnitude earthquake that had us all shook up even 6 years later. Have you actually prepped your house for an earthquake? We'll have some tips with the Utah Division of Emergency Management next.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints announced today that women can now be called to lead an awards Sunday school presidency. Church leadership specified if a woman is called as a Sunday school president, both of her counselors also need to be women and vice versa. Church member Sarah Mendoza says she wasn't too surprised to hear the change.
It will be really cool to see there's been lots of different changes within church policy recently, of even girls being able to go on missions at 18 years old. So it's this isn't the church that, I was raised in most of my life, but I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm this is good,
Others say they're excited to see different people bring their unique talents and leadership roles. Our top national story this hour. Economists are watching to see if how the war in Iran shapes today's Federal Reserve decision on the benchmark interest rate. Rob Haworth is a Senior Investment Strategy Director for the U.S. Bank Assessment Management.
With higher oil prices, we'll often get higher inflation. The Fed historically has not tried to battle higher oil prices, believing them to be more of a temporary phenomenon. But I think if the market hears that will be particularly concerning. I think what we do expect to hear is a Fed on hold.
Today is the Fed's second interest rate decision for the year. The next one comes in late April. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 458 points. The S&P is down 48. And coming up, record-breaking highs today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
It's spring. You get outside and it's obvious your house needs painting. Make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. They'll give you a free estimate quickly and at the right price. And they make the entire process easy with reliable updates and communication. They know how important your home is to you. True professionals, they're committed to quality and exceptional service at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
The KSL News Radio Movie Show comes to My Hearing Centers
Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
Can you hear it? That's the sound of nature waking up in Box Elder County. Spring has sprung, and the first visitors are already here. From grebes to geese, Bear River Bird Refuge is alive with the sound of thousands of wings. And it's not just the birds who are invited. There's plenty for you to enjoy. Experience the world-class minerals at Crystal Hot Springs. Stand on the spot where the railroads joined and forged the destiny of a nation at Golden Spike National Historic Park. Check out the jaw-dropping murals up and down Tremonton's charming Main Street. The list goes on and on. Hungry? From fine dining to classic comfort food, Box Elder County has something that's sure to hit the spot. In Box Elder County, the air is fresher, the sky is wider, and spring is in full bloom. Come wake up your senses and plan your spring escape at visitboxeldercounty.com. Produced in partnership with the Utah Office of Tourism.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Tito Nani.
No issues to report if you're traveling on I-15. It's a clear drive going both directions between Provo and Ogden. And no delays as well if you're traveling I-215, I-80, and the 21st South Freeway. The largest gift boutique is here, Simple Treasures, this week at Western Sports Park. 250 premier handed-crafted items, home yard decor, trendy clothing, jewelry, plus yummy treats. Visit simpletreasures.boutique. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
There's a forecasted high of 79 today with clear sunny skies. That would be a record high for this day. We're actually expecting record highs through Saturday. Right now it is 67 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, or Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I'm all shook up.
Well, it was 6 years ago that a lot of Utahns, including myself, woke up to a 5.7 magnitude earthquake. It hit Magna, and I'll tell you what I remember about this, Holly. I was having some weird thoughts at the time because a week or so, a few days earlier, our country had gone into a shutdown over COVID-19. And a week before that, I decided to file to run for Attorney General. So I thought the stars are not lining up for me. I filed. I was going to run for Attorney General. I did run for Attorney General. And then we had COVID. We had an earthquake. And I thought, okay, bad things come in 3. I'm done. I'll just ride it out here. It was a weird time for me.
I told you that I was out of the country, and so I had landed from Colombia, the country, in Miami, and had to get up really early. I was on a flight when the earthquake hit, so when I landed in Denver, I found out I could not go on to Salt Lake City because the airport was shut down because there'd been an earthquake. And so my daughter and I, we just rented a car. And these were early days of the pandemic, so there were tons of rental cars available, and they were not very expensive, and we just got in the car and drove home.
Yeah, that would have been the smart thing to do. And, before we move on, we've had, it seems like just
Recently.
in the last week or so,
Yeah.
or 2 weeks, I don't know. It just seems like we've had. Maybe we're just more sensitive to it, but we've seen like we've had earthquakes every week somewhere in Utah.
In the last month or so, and there was one. It was maybe out in Saratoga Springs-ish. My husband said he heard it. He didn't feel it, but he could hear like a boom.
Yeah, and then we had that one that hit near Evanston. Wyoming,
Yeah, that's
that
right.
A lot of
A
people felt
4.7.
here in Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah, big one.
Okay, well, earthquakes. So when I was in elementary school, we did nuclear bomb drills by hiding under desks in our school. I still, it's slightly amusing. Like, I don't know what they thought a desk would protect us from if a nuclear bomb hit. But,
Stop, drop, and I don't remember what it was.
Stop, drop, and roll is
roll.
fire.
Yeah, there you go. Right, okay.
But we actually have with us Angela Lang. She's the Outreach Bureau Chief for the Utah Department of Public Safety Division of Emergency Management, on what we can do to prepare during an earthquake, but what we can do to prepare before an earthquake. Thanks for joining us, Angela.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yes, definitely preparedness is key because, as you mentioned, earthquakes are happening. They're really just a warning sign at this point. And so 4 key things that every family and household should do is to be informed. So sign up for your local emergency alerts, bookmark BeReadyUtah.gov, and also consider bookmarking earthquakes.utah.gov. Also, make a plan. Know how your family will communicate and where you'll meet if you're separated, especially when you're thinking about parents and guardians being at work and your children at school. How will that reunification work in your household? And identify an out-of-state contact. That's important because if phone lines are down within the state of Utah, chances are you can contact or have more success contacting somebody out of state and communicating that way.
Can I ask you? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Just a follow-up question on that. How, if the phone lines are down here, how would we contact somebody out of state?
Text messages will probably be able to go through.
Okay.
And then you can also use social media, hopefully.
Okay, you were talking about the 4 tips. I think you got number 3.
3 would be to get a kit. We talk a lot about 72-hour kits. The general rule for water would be 1 gallon per person per day. Make sure you have several days. Ideally, you'd want like 2 weeks, but again, we're talking 72 at bare minimum. Have food that's non-perishable, first aid supplies, medications, flashlight, battery-powered radio, copies of important documents in a waterproof container. That one is also very important, especially since we're in the digital age. The 4th tip I have for you today is to get involved. So check on your neighbors, your family, your friends. See if they're okay if an earthquake happens. Before an earthquake, share your preparedness ideas. I know that sounds a little bit nerdy, but I'm a nerd speaking. So share those preparedness ideas with your family and friends, and then learn how you might be able to get involved with your community. Utah's a community-based state, which I love, and tap into those resources.
Angela, can you share with our listeners what your agency is doing? Because we are on a fault. I mean, Salt Lake and up through the whole, Wasatch Front is along a fault line. What does your agency do in terms of just overall preparedness? Is it giving information out? Do you have resources do you have contacts with certain agencies, or sort of all of the above?
All of the above, yeah. So since the Magna earthquake, that's opened up a lot of federal assistance, funding assistance. And so fortunately, we didn't have any fatalities, limited injuries during that, but we did have significant infrastructure damage. And that did open up funding streams. So we've been focusing on rebuilding and our resilience. Some examples are like Westlake Junior High and West Valley City was rebuilt after declared a total loss. The Salt Lake Temple received significant seismic retrofit. They're still working on that. And then UDOT examined the safety of over 700 bridges statewide. So those are just some examples of what's happening since then. And then we also, like today, pushing out preparedness initiatives. One great one that we have coming up is April 16th is the Great Utah Shakeout.
So what is that, the Great Utah Shakeout?
That is the Utah's largest statewide earthquake drill. This is where anybody can register for free, individual households or organizations, and we practice statewide, practicing the drop, cover, and hold on, knowing that that is the key thing to do during an earthquake that really has proven to save lives.
Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, Holly thought I was talking about
drop,
fires.
Cover,
and hold on.
You said stop, drop.
Yeah,
anyway,
whatever.
Drop, cover, and hold on. What does that mean?
I was close.
You were close.
Yeah, it is. And then you were mentioning the fire drill and the nuclear drills. Everybody has their own nuance. So glad you asked. So drop is really important because an earthquake tends to throw people. But if you can control that yourself by dropping your body to the ground, then you're less likely to be thrown. Cover, you want to make sure that you cover the back of your neck. That's the most vulnerable part of your body. And so that's really important. Hold on. If you're able to, you want to get under something sturdy like a table or a desk to protect your head and neck. And then you want to hold on to it so that way you don't drift from the object during the shaking. And that's important. Everybody thinks about structures collapsing on top of you. But in reality, most times during an earthquake, it's the shaking of loose objects around your house, not the actual roof collapsing, that is the greatest danger. So think about your furniture, even pantry items coming off of the shelves or things out of kitchen cabinets. Nobody wants a ceramic bowl on their head, right? Or other loose objects around your home. So a great place to find out if your hazards around your home is to go to bereadyutah.gov, and we have a link to Home Hazard Hunt. Make it fun. Do it with your kids, and make it a scavenger hunt. And then it's pretty eye-opening of what hazards you might have around.
Thank you so much for joining us. That was super helpful. That was Angela Lang with the Utah Department of Public Safety, Division of Emergency Management. And when we come back, we're going to have Greg's closing arguments, and I've got a few fun facts. Stay with us.
High five! Up top! Dave's company just got the 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Yeah! It's 5 years of gig speed internet, advanced security, and a great rate that won't change. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Heck yeah! He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread. Yes! The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping. Woo! For a limited time, now through March 29th, switch to Comcast Business to lock in your rate for 5 years and get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Or ask how to get started with 150 megabit internet and Security Edge for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Don't wait. Call today. Restrictions apply. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. Paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account required. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother. A necklace tucked away in a drawer. Pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design. Every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. DukesJewelers.com.
I know it's Wednesday, but give me 60 seconds and I'll explain how spending $29 guarantees your air conditioner won't break down this summer, or we'll give you your money back. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and when you have Any Hour do the annual maintenance for your air conditioner, it comes with our no breakdown guarantee. 801-443-7400. Normally, we charge $129 to tune up your air conditioner, but not today. If you call today, Wednesday, March 18th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $100 off and tune up your air conditioner for only $29. 801-443-7400. If your AC breaks down any time this summer after we've tuned it up, we'll dispatch a technician to your home to diagnose and troubleshoot your system for free, and we'll give you back the $29 you paid for the tune-up. Where else are you going to find an offer with this little risk? You literally get your money back if your air conditioner breaks down. Call Any Hour Services and schedule your $29 air conditioner tune-up. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Stonewater Training helps individuals and teams grow into stronger, more purpose-driven leaders through coaching, hands-on experiences, and personal development. Their approach focuses on building confidence, connection, and real-world leadership skills that last. CEO and founder Phil Kornichuk joins us with more.
At Stonewater Training, we help companies embody the saying, mission first, people always. Leadership and culture are decisive factors in any organization's success. It's the difference between accomplishing or failing the mission and having a team that either crumbles or thrives. The foundation for Stonewater began with my personal journey. And thanks to leaders in my life, I went from a high school dropout runaway kid to a special operations lieutenant colonel with 22 years of service and 12 worldwide deployments. And that experience taught me that leadership is a skill that can be developed by anyone. Stonewater combines timeless principles with modern research to deliver high-impact training for a variety of teams. From executive coaching and team training to epic leadership expeditions, we bridge the gap between leadership theory and application. So whether you're a Fortune 500 executive or solopreneur looking to scale, we help you level up. Find us at stonewatertraining.com, and remember, leadership starts with you.
Through programs like Stonewater Training, strong leadership continues to shape resilient teams and empowered communities across Utah. By investing in people and purpose-driven growth, they're helping organizations collaborate better, lead with intention, and strengthen Utah's future together today. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Join Mike Stevens of Capital Wealth Advisors for Retire Right Radio, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's Retire Right Radio with Mike Stevens, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Inside Sources.
Okay, so 6 years ago today, Holly, we know that there was a pretty big earthquake. And so this day in history has already begun 6 years ago today, a big earthquake. What else happened on this day?
Well, before we get there, if it's okay, I want to talk a little bit more about the earthquake safety and preparedness. So we had a couple of texters. And one texter, this is good information. They say you need to think about the pictures hanging on your wall, especially over your bed, right? So if an earthquake happens during the night, do you want something by or over around your bed falling on your head?
No.
Right? So think about that.
That's pretty smart.
It is smart, right? And then make sure that you've got shoes or slippers tucked under the edge of your bed because you may have broken glass on the floor. And then this texter says they always keep a flashlight in their nightstand or in their shoe right there so that they've got something immediately. And then we had a texter with a question. How do you have extra medication if you're supposed to have all of these preparedness things? And one of the things I went to look at, this is earthquakes.utah.gov, and they have information on there. And one of the things that they suggest is that if you can get your prescriptions in a 90-day supply, that can help. You can also refill before it's all the way out. That's a way. And then they recommend that you get your medications at the same pharmacy over and over so that they've got a record of what you have been using so that they can get it to you on an emergency basis if you need it. But I also see this at the bottom, and I thought this was interesting. Earthquake myths and facts. Utah can have a magnitude 9.0 earthquake. They say that's a myth, actually. Earthquakes greater than about a 7.6 are not possible from the Wasatch Fault Zone or other faults in Utah. They're not long enough, and they're a different type than those off the coast of Alaska, Washington State, and the west coast of South America, where earthquakes of 8 or greater are possible. So that is really good information.
Yeah, although 7.6 sounds spooky, but a 9.0 is exponentially worse. I mean, it's not just 10 or 20% worse. It's
Right. So we're right. You're right. They're exponential, right? So we are looking at that. But that's one of the things that on this earthquakes.utah.gov for preparedness. So I think that is really interesting. Okay, I want to tell you on this day in history. So this is March 18th, and it was on this day. This is not happy news. It was on this day in 1942 that U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9102, creating the War Relocation Authority, which was charged with overseeing the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II.
Not a great day in American
Not
history.
a great day. And, we've talked about that, and I think that we are going to continue to talk about that. But one of the things that is interesting to note about that is about 2/3 of the people who were interned at these detention camps were American citizens, and the other third were not. But they were basically rounded up because of their ethnic background.
Yeah, I think it was Topaz Mountain down in
it was
Millard
Topaz
County.
down by Delta.
Right,
yeah, and you can still go down there. They have a museum there, and then they actually have the site of where the internment camp was held. And I've walked through it. It's like they've taken the structures down and stuff, but you can still see like broken pottery and some of the rebar and stuff that's down there.
Right or wrong, some people are drawing some parallels to the recent purchase by DHS here of the big warehouse in Salt Lake City.
Correct. So also on this day, these are a couple of athletes. On this day in 1964, Bonnie Blair was born, so she became a speed skater.
Right.
One of the most successful Winter Olympians in U.S. history, 5-time gold medalist. And on this day in 1988, Steph Curry was born. So happy birthday to Steph Curry.
Right, yes.
And then on this day, I think this is funny, but on this day in 1995, Michael Jordan unretired after a 17-month hiatus from the NBA.
You notice how people unretire, usually you're like, why did you do that?
Well, you're going to be the same way.
Yeah, well, I know. Okay.
And then I have some political ones. So on this day in 2018, Vladimir Putin was elected to another 6-year term. It was his fourth. He became the Russian president. He stayed as the Russian president with 76% of the vote. That was in 2018. In 2024, Putin won another election, and this time he got 88% of the vote.
Of course he did, right.
So I have full confidence in Russian elections.
Yeah, well, he could have got 100%, but he probably figured nobody's going to believe it. But
So 88.
Some people will believe.
I mean, look, if you cross Putin, you end up with frog venom poisoning you like Navalny, or you fall out a window.
Right, or your plane gets shot down.
Or your plane gets shot down.
88% of any population doesn't really agree on anything.
No, it's true. And I remember reading a campaign book that said if God himself or herself was on the ballot, automatically 25% would vote against that person.
Right,
Doesn't matter.
That's why That's why the 88% is an impossibility.
Impossibility. So those are my fun facts of the day.
Good for you.
What are your closing arguments today?
So we learned about Cesar Chavez today in a way that it's got me thinking a little bit. And I'm a victim advocate, and I do some work for groups here. But this Dolores Huerta, she's now 95 years old, and she's talking about something that occurred 60 plus years ago. She could have, Holly, let it go. She could have not said anything about it, let his legacy survive. Certainly he had a great legacy. He's got streets named after him. But she decided to come forward, and I say, good for you. I say, good for you. And if that becomes his legacy going forward because of something he did, and these allegations seem to be corroborated by others, maybe we should know about them. Maybe it doesn't hurt us to look at history and revisit history and say this was a great person. He did some great things, but he also had some flaws. And if so, there's never a time when it's too long to expose those. And we've certainly seen that done with our Civil War heroes and looking back on other people. So I say, in support of victims, it's never too late to disclose what you've been through and to talk about it. And it shows a great deal of strength on her part that she was willing to come forward with that, given his tremendous legacy.
Yeah, and even the fact that her sexual assaults resulted in pregnancies, 2 girls that were born from that are my age, right?
Yeah.
They're in their 60s.
Yeah, and so, I mean, this is just coming out today, really, and yesterday.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some fallout from that. There's going to be some, I mean, there already has been. The Cesar Chavez Foundation, United Farm Workers have said, we're not even going to celebrate Cesar Chavez Day on the 31st, which is, 13 days away.
Yeah.
So there seems to be that tells me that there's some people that are believing this, that feel like there's some credibility to this, and maybe we don't want to cross lines and make someone. And he still did some great things. You can't take that away. But if he did this, you do take some of it away. You do have to revisit his history.
You know, when I was younger, I heard this story one time about brownies and cat poop. And you can have a plate of brownies, but with cat poop in it, it really ruins the whole thing. And I would say somebody who is credibly accused of sexually assaulting minors, you kind of spoil the pan of brownies.
Yeah, and you know, just in my own practice, I represent attorneys and judges, and you can have a legacy. And I tell attorneys this when I talk to law students: people remember the bad. I mean, you can do 99 great things in your life, but sleeping with a client, stealing money. There are certain things that when you look back on a person's legacy, no matter how good they were, and sex offenders, sex crimes seem to get people caught up all the time.
Sure.
You can look back and say, oh, that was the attorney that did that. I mean, you know what I mean? Now he or she's a great attorney and doing some wonderful things, but you look at that person and you have a legacy. And I tell young people getting out of college and law school and medical school, nursing school, people remember the bad thing you did. So don't even go down that road. Don't let temptation get you into something that can affect your legacy.
I heard Ted Bundy was really charming.
Yeah.
Right.
But
also, I agree with what you're saying, and I think I have one final question for you. We're almost out of time, but there's not a statute of limitations in Utah on sexual assault crimes on children. Is that true? If they come back later and say, hey, when I was 13 years old, this happened to me?
It's true and not true. So today, there's no statute of limitations, but the statute of limitations applies at the time the event occurred. So, for example, if someone says, I was hurt in 1965, you would have to look at what the statute of limitations was in 1965.